consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
5 seconds left in the game. You believe in miracles? Yes!
Welcome to the Hard Rock Sports Studios and another edition of the weekly video recap.
With the players.
Come on, live direct from hell, final.
But hey, enough of my yakking. What do you say? Let's boogie.
And that's my cue to start the show. Welcome to another Thursday night edition of the Hard Rock and Sports Show, live from Hard Rock and Sports Studios in beautiful scenic Monroe, New Jersey. We are your 3-hour weekly get-together. We bring you all the biggest news from around the worlds of hard rock, heavy metal, and, of course, the wide world of sports. Guys, welcome to Thursday, April 22nd, and the Hard Rock and Sports Show goes live for the NFL Draft Preview Show. That's right, every year, 7 years in a row, we preview the big draft, the NFL Draft. One of the biggest days in the offseason for any sport is the NFL Draft. And to think of all the major sports, and I think basketball tries to do it, doesn't come close to what the pageantry we'll take out last year, the pageantry of the NFL Draft, what it has become from the days in the Sheraton in the Meadowlands with Commissioner Pete Rozelle smoking cigarettes and announcing the names of people like Phil Simms and Kenny O'Brien, to Radio City Music Hall, to what it is now is a 3-day event, there is music and there are all sorts of stuff going on. Not this year. It's in Cleveland. But I think we'll get there. We'll get back there sooner than later. But the NFL Draft Preview Show here on the Hard Rock and Sports Show is one of my favorite. Usually it's Jeff and I. Once in a while we get together with some of our NFL experts, which we will do tonight. Frank Jeffrey, Matt Salici will join us. And we'll break down a good part of the NFL Draft. We'll get to at least the first round, at least the top 10. I got a whole bunch of little subjects in the matter. So we'll definitely spend some time on our teams, which Frank is a Dolphin fan. Matt favors the Cowgirls. Jeff is a long-suffering Jet fan. And, of course, I favor the Big Blue Machine, as you see up on the wall. So we'll break down the teams, the divisions. We'll go through the bigger names in the draft. We'll try to get you guys a little education on how this works and what we expect to happen. And listen, you never know. One thing changes and the whole draft goes out the window. I think it's almost a lock, the first 7 picks. I think there's a couple of variables in there. I think it's a lot of quarterbacks and a lot of receivers going early. But we'll see. There's a couple things in there. What quarterbacks go where is a big thing. And we could see some trades. There's a lot of depth at certain positions in this draft. Running back, receiver, not on the edge. But we'll get to all of that when I get Frank and Matt on a little bit. Well, we're going to also talk about the best team in New York City right now. The best team playing in New York City. And God forbid me saying it, it's the New York Knickerbockers. Take out the Yankees. They suck, and they don't hustle. We'll talk about them in a minute. We got the Mets, so-so at this point. The Nets, they don't play. One's always out. One guy's taking vacations because he doesn't feel like playing. They just, they're. Let's see what the Nets are in the playoffs. But the New York Knickerbockers, 8 straight. They've jumped to 4th place in the division, in the league, in that conference. Unbelievable. I got to tell you, I don't watch, hey, Mikey Cunningham, yes, go Eagles, hey, Will Cloak. No, he's stuck with them. Will, sorry. But in the base hit, we got a double in the corner for the Yankees. They're down 3-0 at this point, but let's hope for the best. Anyway, to New York Knicks real quick. So, you got to love the way they play basketball. I don't watch a lot of basketball anymore. I refuse to watch it, but I keep an eye on the Knicks because, 1, I'm a Knicks fan. 2, I've never seen a championship. And 3, we do a show here. And I have to kind of talk about what's important out there. We'll get to some of the other idiots in pro basketball, namely LeBron James. But we'll get to him a little later. Let me see. Somebody's trying to reach out to me. No? Okay. But the Knicks are a fun bunch. They play hard. They play defense. They can score. Julius Randle's having a great year. RJ Barrett's starting to come around. It's a fun team. And if they play this way for a little while longer, they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs, and people are not going to want to play them. They will beat you up a little bit with their defense. Now, they're not the Knicks of the 90s that are knocking you down. Anthony Mason and Oakley, Ewing to a certain extent. Those Knicks teams beat the crap out of you, and then they won. This team just plays hard, good, hard, old-fashioned defense, and I respect it. And I enjoy when I do watch it. They're not perfect. They need another scorer. But they do things that people just don't do. They play every night. Julius Randle, those guys play every single night. They don't take nights off. And I respect it. I respect the way they play the game. And I love their coach. And it's finally the core is in now. Thibodeau is like Buck Showalter. Thibodeau has the thing where after a couple of years, he kind of wears on them and the message goes out. Showalter was the same way. He did it with the Yankees. He did it with the Diamondbacks. He did it with Baltimore. He comes in. He changes things. Everything gets people jump and follow it. But after a while, in today's day and age, and athletes, they kind of stop listening after a while. And Buck's a great manager. I'd love to have him anytime to manage the Yankees, especially the way they're playing now. And we will get to that in a little bit. Maybe I'll bring Frank on in a second. And he's a little early, but maybe I'll talk a little Yankee baseball with him. But, the one thing about the Knicks is, guys, if you get a chance, I know a lot of us don't watch pro basketball all of last year and what they've, what you hear some of these guys talk about. And to be honest with you, I don't like the way the game's played. I just don't. Watch the Knicks. They're a good, fun bunch. It's not far off from the Rangers. The Rangers are a hard team to dislike. They're just young. They don't play well against teams who play aggressive. The Islanders are a good team. Should do some damage this year. I like the Islanders. We'll talk a little bit more about them next week, probably. The Devils are sad. We'll get to more hockey maybe in a week or two. Maybe after the draft, we'll get more into hockey. We're closer to the playoffs. But the Rangers, I think, have a good future. I like some. I love the goaltending. I think they got some really solid players. They don't play well against tough teams. If you physical the Rangers, you will beat them. They will do not do well against physical teams. When you play a team like the Capitals, they go east to west. It's more of an open game. They do well there. So we'll get to them in a little bit. We got a little bit. We'll talk a little wrestling tonight. We'll talk some music. I got some topics for later on. I don't know if I want to get into all the social justice stuff. And I'll just say this because I have the bully pulpit, so I'm going to say it real fast. Derek Chauvin got what he deserved. Okay. Whether you were enacting arrest, whether George Floyd murdered anybody or not, he didn't deserve to die. He certainly deserved to die that way. I will only say this: there's no reason to glorify George Floyd. He died committing a criminal act, and in no way is he a martyr for this. But short of that, he should never, ever, ever, ever have died that night. Chauvin, I think the sentencing the charges may be a little high, got everything that he deserved. And a base hit down the line into left field for DJ LeMahieu to run score. The Yankees are on the board, and we finally got a little life in this team. We'll see with Judge coming up next, but we got a lot to get to tonight. We got a lot to talk about. We got so much, guys. Next week, Jeff and I will be doing the NFL Draft show. We do it every year. We'll be on live. I'm trying to get a live stream out, so we'll have it on the screen for you. If you want to join us, if you want to have it on your big screen and keep Jeff and I, we'll kind of do a little back and forth, and we'll have some fun with that next week. So make sure you come on back. Ross the Boss from the Dictators, not Manowar, from the Dictators will be on in a few weeks. The Dictators have a new song out, and they reached out. They want to be on the show, so we'll be having Ross the Boss, one of our favorite guests, a big Met fan, big Giant fan. Hoping to have him on actually next week while we do the draft. He may pop in for a little bit, so I'll let you know. But I hope you guys have had a good week. It was a pretty nice week until today. Froze my cojones out, and it's making me long for Florida. I will be traveling down there to do a little vacation, a little recon, a couple of weeks. So we're looking forward to seeing some people down there. And, it's not far in the future. This cold weather, boy, it aches the body. It aches the body. But, let's kick the show off. I got my dad Holden. Jeff just popped up. Let's get him on. Let's get talking, and let's do the show. Hefe, what's up, brother?
Only gay people move to Florida, Tom. And if you could live with that, then you must go. But if you're going to be a man,
Yes,
man it
right.
up and fucking stay here.
I'm
Born in New York, you should die in New York.
I want to be joining my dear friend Frank Jeffrey down in the swamps of Florida soon.
I hope you get fucking eaten by an alligator.
We'll be watching football in his pool down the line, kicking back with a couple of cold ones.
Listen, it's all well and good. I hope some like man-eating bacteria slides up your pecker while you're down there. You need to be up here. Who's gonna? I will be the last one in New York.
You might be. You might be.
I am.
You might be.
I already am. My brother left. You left. Your brother left.
Yep.
Paul's in Manhattan.
Yep.
Joey left.
Yep. The last
I
one.
am the last. The Bruscos have left.
Jimmy's the last one. You and Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy too. Yeah, but Jimmy, you know, as much as Jimmy is in with us, he's kind of
distant,
a different branch of the tree, if you will.
It's true, but listen, it will happen. I don't know if it's happening next year or 5 years or 10 years from now, but we're going to go down to Florida and spend some time and check out some different sites and some towns, and we'll see. Like I said, right now I'm looking for a vacation home, maybe to do something with, but I don't know. It could be a dream. I could be here 10 years from now, still doing the show, complaining about the city. Who knows?
Oh, I just got a text message from Billy Graz.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's been off of Facebook in a while. I swear to God, I was just thinking about.
I haven't seen that. That's true. I haven't seen him on Facebook in a long time.
Yeah. He's been off for a while.
You got a text message saying he sees us and
just asking how we're going and everything. That he's been good and.
Please, by all means, if you don't mind, jump in there for me and tell him I said hello, and I have not seen him in a while.
That doesn't cover Florida people. Sorry.
Sorry. Okay. I'm still here. Well,
before we go any further, I would like to publicly thank you for helping me put up the ceiling fan the other day. I appreciate it. We got to hang out for a while, and
yes.
Once you go down to Florida, I know you won't be able to help me with that anymore. But you know,
we'll see how that works out. But it was fun. We got to put up a ceiling fan. It took a little longer than expected.
Yeah, and we did it mostly in the dark and with bad lighting.
Yes,
what little lighting we had, but it worked great.
That's good.
Yeah, when I put on the faucet, it goes on faster.
Even nice. Flush the toilet, lights go on.
Yeah. Like strobes.
It was good, and thank you guys for dinner. We had a nice dinner over at Duffy's afterwards. It was good wings, little crispy wings. Was nice.
Yeah, that was good, right?
Yeah, it was very good dinner. So it was good to hang out, and I'm going to get to see you 2 weeks in a row, because we're going to be heading down to play a little cards on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that, man.
Yes, little Spinal Tap, and the guys getting together, a few laughs, a few old stories, and a couple decks of cards, and we'll have a few laughs.
What is all this ganging up on New York kind of stuff? Fuck Jersey and New York. Come on, guys, stop it.
Listen. Let's get my dad on, and then we're gonna get Frank in. We'll talk a little bit before the draft, and then we'll get Matt on about 7:30, and we'll start doing our full draft. So let's get my dad on, see what he's got to say. Then we'll get Frankie up, and then we'll go from there. What's up, Pop?
Not much, guys. Just watching the Yankee game.
Yeah.
And getting the promo seltzer.
Oh, please.
3-1.
Yeah. You know, Pop. My big thing is this. Listen, I don't mind so much that they can't hit. My problem is, one, their fundamentals are terrible. But the worst part is they just look like they don't care. That's my biggest problem with this team.
That's normal.
Ah.
A last place team. Because when you start losing, and the worst thing that happened to Torrey, Torrey, when he first came up, and what he hit, 40-some home runs.
Oh, I don't know if it's that many, but
I mean, here's a kid now. He's in a slump in hell, and instead of just trying to hit the ball, he's looking to yank everything out. Same thing with DJ.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, they're pitching him outside, and he's pulling everything.
Yep.
He's trying to pull. Instead of going with the pitch to break it up, he doesn't.
Oh, I agree. They're a mess right now. They can't hit in the big spot. I mean, Sanchez comes up. They walk Hicks. I think it was in the ninth. They walk Hicks. Hicks has a great at bat for a change. And then Sanchez comes up, gets a ball one, and then proceeds to swing at 5 pitches out of the strike zone. I mean, come on. It's ridiculous. Yeah, Torres just comes up with a hit. Oh, going to be 2 runs. I think another run's going to score. Yep, DJ scores.
another one scored,
Yeah, so a 2-run scored. Ford comes in. So Yankees tie the game 3-3 on a questionable, a single and a 2-base error for Gleyber Torres. So as we talk about him, that he little hustle there turns it into a 3-base play and good for him. But you're right, Dad. This is a bad team right now.
It's not a bad team. The problem is, what do you call it? Garbage breeds garbage.
No.
And they're not bad teams. It's just that today is everything home run. There's nobody to tell you, what do you do? Why are you trying to yank? They're pitching you outside. Why aren't you going the opposite way? I mean, I'm not a coach, but I can tell.
Yeah.
I mean, even today, LeMahieu got a hit. Okay? But he reached over the plate. He took a ball that was on the outside part of the
Yes,
plate.
and he
pulled it.
Yes.
And he got lucky with it.
I agree. Just happened in front of us. Yes. Yeah, Jeff, the worst thing, a team can be bad, Jeff, but when you play bad fundamental baseball and you don't hustle and come off with a lack of care about winning and losing, I think that frustrates fans more than losing games.
Well, of course, because if a team is just losing, it means something is going on. The players are not to the level that they're supposed to be at, or what you would like them at. Maybe they're underperforming. But if a player is getting lazy and he's not playing to his potential, yeah, that's definitely frustrating. But Tom, I want you to think of something too. This is the end of April. Now, true, the season is only a month old, but the beginning months of baseball, they go pretty quick up into the All-Star break.
Sure.
And once you get through May, you're almost quarter of the way through the season. We're approaching the halfway mark. Right now, aren't they in last place?
They're in last place. It's only 17 games in, so it's not even.
Yeah, but Tom, come on. Only 17 games in. Next month at this time will be only 34 games in.
No, listen, I don't think you can.
It's not good.
No, I agree with you, Jeff. I think it's too. I think at some point you can get.
You got to stop the bleeding, man. You got to stop the bleeding.
Correct, and they need to turn it on, and they need to throw 3, 4, 5 game streak and get themselves back in line. And winning breeds winning.
Somebody has to be held accountable.
Yes,
I'm not talking about the coach. I'm talking about you got guys that are playing up there. I mean, you got Frazier. I mean, come on, this guy's standing there. I'm looking at his left at bat. He's standing there, and he's afraid to swing the bat.
Yeah.
He did 3 balls, moved right over the plate, and he's looking at them. And then when they call strike 3, he looks at the umpire like it's his fault.
I agree.
Bat off your shoulder.
Listen,
You might as well go out.
I agree. I listened to Boone get interviewed today on the Carton and Roberts show, and they asked him if he was benching Stanton for tonight's game because he was sitting, and he kind of hesitated. And he said, "Well, no, we have a big stretch, and we had to give him a day off anyway." And the point of it is, at some point, somebody's got to be made the scapegoat a little bit. And when I say that, somebody needs to be held accountable. So whether it's Sanchez or Stanton or Hicks, they need to get a couple games off to say, "Hey, if you don't go out there and make an effort, you're not going to play." And that's the problem with baseball today is these guys. There's no accountability. There's nobody.
I mean, isn't Stanton due to get hurt soon anyway? Isn't he
it's coming.
He played too many games already this year compared to last year.
I agree with that. Yeah, I still think of all the bad trades that Cashman's made, and he hasn't made a ton. He's had his share. But you be a general manager in this league for 20-something years, you're going to make some bad ones. Stanton trade may turn out to be the worst one he's ever made because of the dollars and the length.
I think they thought that he could just take it and eat it and not worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever foresaw that they were going to wind up with this type of team.
Yeah.
And it's baseball today. There's really a lot of plays. I mean, come on. You pitch 5 innings a game. Today, you're a superstar.
I got you.
Your defense is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, everything here is no good. And I'm not saying they're not going to turn it around. But like Jeff said, he's right. 17 now, next month is 34. You can never make up the lost game.
Nope.
You can't make them up.
No.
Once you lose a game, it's in the loss column and it stays there forever.
You got to figure every loss is 2 games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? To get ahead, to gain some ground. So.
Oh, fair point. Fair point. Like I said, I think this team's going to struggle all year? No, but right now, I don't see them getting out of the funk anytime soon. But listen, one good game turns it around. A couple guys start to hit, and the next thing you know, you rattle off 3 or 4. But the problem is that their division is not as bad as most people expected. The Blue Jays are better. The Red Sox are significantly better than we expected. And the Rays give the Yankees trouble. So this is not going to be a cakewalk in their division other than Baltimore.
Well, I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah. We'll see.
I don't mind seeing the team lose. I mean, I've watched teams before lose. But when a ball is hit and you're jogging down to first base,
the worst.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
No.
I agree.
You have to come right out of the game.
Listen.
Take you out, because I have to assume you hurt your leg or something. And you can't run.
I agree with you. Torres should have been benched for tonight's game, but he's playing. I guess they don't have any other options.
I'd have took him out of the game right there. Embarrassed him.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Pop. I'm not disagreeing with you, but today's day and age, these managers don't do that. And, that's part of what the problem in the sports is, Pop. So we'll see. It's going to be good. It's a long baseball season. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We'll see how they turn it around.
All right. Let you guys go. Enjoy your night.
Thanks, Pops.
Have a good game, and talk to you later.
You got it, Dad.
See you later, Mr. Florio.
That's my dad. He checks in every week. Love his perspective. He's got that old time mentality. Big shot in the gap. Got him a couple. Let's get Frank in. I want to talk to him a little bit about baseball before we kick it.
You do that real quick. Billy Graz said to say hello.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Tell him I said hi.
I did.
Okay. And let's bring on our first of our NFL experts wearing his team colors. I see him sporting the colors. There he is. Frank Jeffrey, what's up, brother?
Can't hear you, Frank. We can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Can't hear me?
Now we got
now
you.
We can hear
there
you.
We go.
What is that in the back? An old beach towel?
Yeah, that's an old beach towel. That's actually a 72 banner, my friend.
72.
What is that? What is that? I don't know. We don't see those where my team plays.
That's very true. They only have oil spills where his team plays.
Yeah.
Hey, Frank, I will tell him you said that. Thank you, Frank. It's my dad gets a kick out of being on the show every week. He looks forward to it. So thanks for the compliment, Frank. Well, before we get to football, until Matt joins us, I got to ask you. You watch a lot of Yankee baseball. What's your take on this team 17 games in?
Problem is, we have two. You remember?
Frank, you're breaking up a little bit.
Guy,
you're breaking up, Frank. I'm getting every other word.
You remember Dave Kingman?
Sure.
Okay, strikeout or home run guy.
Mm-hmm.
We have too many Dave Kingmans on our team. Stanton, Judge, they're all the same thing. They go for the fences. They're great. They hit the nice solo home runs. But if nobody's contacting and getting on base, you're just getting those home runs, and that's it.
Yeah, the problem is they're not even hitting home runs. They're last in the league in home runs so far.
Right.
So you're not even getting that.
Striking out. They're not even – I was just going to say, and they're not even doing the part we want to do is hit the home runs.
Yeah, it's very true. That's a bit of the problem for this team. And, the problem is I think baseball in general, Frank, has turned into a home run or nothing league. Nobody bunts. There's no hit and run anymore. We talk about it all the time on the show, which is okay, I guess, if you do some of the other things really well, like hit home runs and you'll get timely hitting at least. And this team doesn't do either one right now.
Right. Well, yeah, don't do any of that. And Tom, when's the last time – like, I'll give you the perfect scenario how bad baseball's gotten. It was bases loaded, one out. Jay was up. They had the shift on. The third baseman was playing at shortstop. He lays a bunt down the third base line. That's one, possibly two runs in a 3-2 game that we were losing. And what does he do? It's a ground ball double play right into the shift. Where's the guys choking up and hitting it, slapping the ball? Where is that? That doesn't happen no more.
Well, the days of, and I'd love to get some of the guys who've been on the show in the past, like Brian Doyle or Bloomberg or Tommy John. But, right now, situational baseball, situational hitting especially, is gone. Guys, Jeff, people don't choke up on the bat. Nobody goes the other way. You know,
there's listen. I'm not the biggest baseball fan, Frank, and Tommy knows that. But we've talked, and Tommy's a huge purist when it comes to baseball.
Right.
So a lot of these things are important to him. I don't know what your stance is with baseball.
I'm right there with Tommy. I'm a purist in baseball. I hate the shift. Like I said, they should be able to. Like they're even talking about moving the mound back a foot.
Yes, back a foot.
The batters a little. Get out of here. Learn to.
It just doesn't seem. Them moving the mound back gave them something like 0.2 seconds extra time.
Right.
Like, what is that really going to do? And does 61 feet 6 inches sound the same as 60 foot? You know what I mean? It just doesn't sound right. It's not right.
Well, it doesn't. Like you said, it helps. What it does is it helps the batter. That you'll be surprised how much time you have to swing that bat when the ball's spinning and breaking. It's very short time. Very short.
No, I know, dude.
So that extra foot will give them the time to make the adjustment and make more hits. But my point is, get better batting coaches. Like Tommy said, choke up, learn strategical hitting. Don't just say, okay, we're going to move the mound back so we can get more home runs. That's ridiculous.
Well, but that's what they want right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Fans like you guys, not that you aren't important, but that's not who's watching baseball now.
No, we're the dying breed. We're the guys that are dying out. My generation and like Mr. Florio, that generation, they know they want to move on from that. They want to go to the kids and the women and all of that. That's fine, but don't take away baseball purists.
It's a video game age now. Okay, people want to see offense.
Instant
I'm sure
gratification.
You and Tommy would want to sit and watch a 1-0 baseball game if played the right way.
Right.
But the regular fan today doesn't want that. They want to see a 10-9 game because they want to see the ball go over the fence. That's what it's all about now.
Oh, the more home runs, the better. And unfortunately, the same thing they're doing with football, making all these penalties on the defense, making it harder and making it easy to complete passes. It's down the line. Hockey, they're doing the same thing. When did they have all of that clutch and grab penalties in hockey? In hockey, they could mug Wayne Gretzky and pull him to the ice, and there wouldn't be a penalty. Now, God forbid, they bump some of these guys, and it's like 2 minutes interference.
Yeah,
in all sports.
Yeah, listen, I understand the theory of trying to get the younger fan in. The younger fan wants a different thing, but to radically change the game around. Football's done it. We've accepted it. I think we've all kind of accepted football now.
Right.
The defense can't play defense anymore. You can't hit anybody. Go ahead, Jeff.
But football's a little different, though, Tom. Football's an ever-evolving game because once a coach realizes, okay, I could beat a team by doing this instead of that, it happens. And it's a copycat game. But baseball's a completely different story. The things that you're talking about that went on in the game of baseball for 50, 60 years that don't happen now, it's a completely different story.
Of course.
That's why the Yankees have guys like Judge and Stanton. So they're capable. You got to figure if they hit 3 home runs between them, a game, or a couple times a week, they hit that many home runs in a game between them. That's offense. That's 3 runs a game. You know what I mean?
No, I agree with you, Jeff. The problem I have with it is
without having to move guys around the field.
I agree with Patrick. Patrick's up, and thanks for jumping back in again this week, Patrick. We missed you last week. The thing about it is for me is I understand that the home run sells. Listen, there's nothing better sometimes. Your team's down, and all of a sudden a guy comes up and hits a big 3-run homer, puts you in the lead, hits a big home to tie a game. I'm all for it. But my problem is that the whole game revolves around it, and you get guys get on base, and the guy walks in front of you on 4 pitches, and the guy comes up behind him, swings at the first pitch. I mean, you got to run around. You got to run around second base, nobody out, hit the ball the other way, and get the run to the third. Guys pull a ground ball to third base. So to me, I'm all for the home run. My problem is we've fallen in love with exit velocity and arch angles, and to me, it's ruined the game because instead of the home run being a majestic play or a specialty, it's become an all or nothing. And that's my problem with the game of baseball today. And yeah, Patrick, you move the fences back, dead in the ball. I agree. But if the players aren't going to learn to hit and a situational baseball, none of it means anything, guys.
Well, it goes back to what I said: instant gratification. People don't want to see me and you, like Jeff said. We'll see that 1-0 game where they're moving the runner and they're bunting, and the strategic part of the game of situation hitting and scoring. People don't want that. Like you said, they want to go and say, okay, how do I get a run? Home run. Okay, great. Now I got a run. I don't have to wait for the guy to go from first to second to third and then figure out how to get him in and maybe suicide squeeze, or they don't want to figure that out. They want home run. We got to run. Okay, move on. I get back onto my iPad, move on.
Speaking of figuring things out, that you just brought up exit velocity, right? Yeah. You're giving the fans statistics now that the average fan is not going to be able to even figure out for themselves. Right. How many people actually know how to figure out a fucking batting average?
Yeah.
And do the math to figure out a batting average. Now you're talking exit velocity and all of these other fucking whacked out stats.
Yeah.
That people at home, like, yeah, they may be fun to hear and know about, but you can never sit and figure them out. You know, gee, the guy has 25 home runs. He hits 2 tonight. He has 27. At least that's something that the average fan could, handle and think about. But these other stats, it's like you're going to bewilder people with stats, and it's going to take away from certain aspects of the game.
Last week I was watching the Yankee game. I think it was one of the games in Tampa last weekend. With the Blue Jays last weekend, and it was late. The Yankees were either tied or down a run. Tauchman gets on, and he steals second. He steals third, and then he winds up scoring. And I said, where is this before? Like this has disappeared from the game. And well, again, I know I'm an old fart and stuff, but Jeff, you get the same amount of runs if you hit the ball 500 feet or 299 feet over a 298-foot fence. So to me, why can't they cut down the swing a little bit, hit situational, and when you get that spot, when you're 3-0 or 3-1, in a game you're up a run or down a run, and you're swinging for the fence, I get it. But when you're down 2 or 3, and the guy ahead of you walked, and you're up there swinging for the fences, guys. I know I'm a baseball purist and maybe I'm old-fashioned, but play the game based on the situation.
Here's the thing, too, Tom. I'm sorry, Frank. You got to think, too. Guys that hit the ball 300 feet, over a 299-foot fence are going to get $2 million a year. The guy that hits it over the 500-foot mark is going to get $25 million a year. So they're all going to try to hit the ball as far as they can and as hard as they can. Some of them can do it, some of them can't. But you know what? Because you as a fan say that, and that's fine. That's the way to think. But these guys, they're not playing for championships. They're playing for bank accounts.
Yeah, and
Hard
Rocket Sports, Jeff and Tom here every Thursday night, 7 to 9:30, doing a little football, doing a little baseball. We got wrestling tonight. We got some music stuff a little later on. We're glad you joined us. Frank Jeffrey hanging in. Matt just popped up, so we're going to get to the NFL Draft Preview Show next Thursday night. Jeff and I will be sitting right here. Hopefully Frank and Matt will pop in during the cast, the telecast, and kind of weigh in on some of the picks as they go along. But we'll be here, Jeff and I, for sure. So we're looking forward to next Thursday night. We always do. That's one of my favorite shows of the year. I think Jeff as well. We kind of have a good time with the NFL Draft Show.
I don't know about you guys have been following the draft for 1,000 years. I understand that. But because of the show, I've been really paying extra attention to a lot of things with the draft and learning more every day as far as everything goes.
Yep.
And I feel as though that the Dolphins and Giants are going to blow their chances this year in the first round of the draft and set the tone for the rest of the draft.
Jeff, it's not worth watching.
Yeah, shouldn't even turn it. But you know what? Let's get the NFL Draft Preview Show started. But let's get in our fourth member of the party, our good friend and the guy who's the draft guru amongst the crowd, Mr. Matt Salitri. What's up there, Matthew?
What's up, guys?
How you feeling, brother? How you feeling?
Tired as fuck. I think I slept like 13 hours yesterday.
You got your vaccination?
Second shot, yeah. I felt good. I felt fine the day of. It's the day after that knocked the shit out of me.
Well, listen, I'm glad you did it. I'm glad you're feeling. I'm sorry you're feeling a little run down today, but maybe we can pick up your spirits with a little NFL Draft preview talk. Let me ask. I'll ask you, Matt, since we've been talking to Frank so far. I know you get excited for the draft year to year. I think this is actually a fun draft because there's a lot of stuff up in the air. There's some great players. I think there's some future great players early on in this draft. Some drafts are a little more boring. It's not quite as open-ended, I think, as this draft is. A lot of things can happen in this first 10 picks. What's your thought quick on the this draft this year?
I think after Trevor Lawrence, I think that you're correct because I don't think there's any one player at any position that is leaps and bounds, ahead of the next guy. I think every quarterback has their warts. I think every linebacker has issues. I think, after Patrick Surtain, who I believe is the cleanest corner in this draft, they have issues. Now, Farley has the back problem, but he might slide to the bottom of the first. There's all kinds of shit going on. I'm so tired of all the draft rumors and all this crap all the time.
Oh, yeah. I have to tell you, that's the one thing I'll tell you. Frankie, I'm going to call you guilty, Frankie, because all week, you and me and Matt are on and every day, Frankie puts up the latest rumor. And listen, Frank, I know why they do it. They do it because they have to put something out there to get people to draw into their podcasts or whatever.
Yep.
But after a while, some of them get to be ridiculous.
Yep.
It really is nuts.
I love you.
There you go.
Who is that, Matt? That's you?
No.
I'm hearing something in there, but okay. So, Frank, yeah, I think it's a little crazy.
Dallas straight up to pick Pitts.
Yeah, listen.
Nah.
I heard one this week that somebody actually said there's a 100 millionth of a chance that the Jaguars could pick somebody other than Trevor Lawrence. I mean, Jeff, at some point, it's meaningless and useless that these people do that.
Well, of course, yeah, but like you said, they want to have intrigue and everything else, and the draft is a big thing every year in and year out. So what better way to get people to start paying attention to you and your show and your network or your articles on a computer or newspaper by throwing something out there? I saw one that I almost popped a boner as soon as I saw it, which was the Jets trading down a few picks and then getting like 17 number one picks for the next 23 years. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, it makes total sense. I was like, they got to do it. But meanwhile, it's like the writer's opinion. I'm like, this isn't going to happen. It's just impossible,
Yes, I agree. And listen, I think that there's a lot of things could happen in this draft because I think in a lot of positions, Matt, receiver, running back. I'm not a fan of the quarterbacks, but there's a lot of them out there that people seem to be happy and like. There's some depth at a lot of the good positions. I don't think there's a lot in the on the edge rushers. I don't think there's a lot in the secondary. I think you get your top 3 or 4 guys and then it falls off. But I think you could see a couple teams trading back and some teams wanting to trade up.
Yeah, I agree. I think Carolina is. I think now that they got Darnold, they're not going to be crazy for moving up to get a quarterback. They may move down because they want more picks. It's like I said, after Surtain and Horn go off the board, Farley will probably drop because of the back issue, but there's a huge drop off in corners after those first 3 or 4. They've been talking up Greg Newsome, who if you guys remember back in the day, I'm sure you do, Tommy, because same division. But remember Kevin Smith?
Yeah,
that's Greg Newsome right there. He's same size, feisty, good solid cover corner, but not going to wow you in any one particular phase of his game. He's just a solid all around player. Safety. I think safety is going to be a fantastic position this year. You got Trayvon Moorig's unbelievable. Kid from Indiana. The kid from Florida. They got a lot of good safeties in this draft that can really cover a lot of ground.
Richie Grant's not a bad player. You got a couple.
Yeah, I like Richie Grant too.
I do like Richie Grant's play. He's my second guy. I do like the kid from Florida State a little bit better. But and Trayvon Moorig can play. You can get it down to the kid from Texas who might be a little bit of a stretch, but Caden Stearns is not a bad player.
No, he's not. He's not.
Nice.
Huh?
I was just going to say that. Stearns is a nice player.
I agree with that. I think there's some guys in the draft. But, guys, let's get to the draft a little bit. I want to let you guys each break down your own teams. I got some general questions I want to hit you with first. Then we'll run through the top 10s a little bit. We'll kind of throw some ideas out there. So let me start with this one for you, Jeff. Do you or any of you guys, and Jeff, answer this one first. Do you devalue a guy a little bit because he opted out of last year last year's season because of COVID. Would that give you, if you were two guys and they were fairly even and one of them opted out, would that devalue him for you at all?
I would. It's hard to say because I would definitely have to say I would definitely pay attention to the guy that played a little bit more because you would have more film on him and see exactly what he did, if he had any ups and downs. But with what happened with COVID last year and the way that it affected the world, not just one sport, it's kind of hard to really penalize somebody for that. But it's understandable that they would back out because of the fear of the virus, but I would probably go the other way and go with the guy that played the more games, not because he played and like he showed that he was more macho, so to speak, but just because there may be more on him to go by.
Okay,
more
Frank,
reps, more games.
Okay,
what I mean?
Makes sense. Frankie, what do you think?
If they're close, and like you said, I have to choose the guy that I have ranked slightly higher or lower than the guy out. I'm going with the guy played. And being it's not just about opting out the COVID, got to do what's best. But like Matt will tell you, reps are important, especially at that age of development. Reps are important. The new CBA and all of that, you don't get the reps, and you're losing. Now you're going to lose a preseason game.
Yeah, I
get the reps. Those reps. So
I agree.
After that.
I think that's a huge point. Matt, give you take. You agree? I think Matt. I think people lose sight of the fact that you missed all of last year in college. You're going to come to a pro team where most players aren't going to go to the voluntary OTAs. You're going to get a mini camp. Probably you're going to get, and with no contact, training camp with probably very little contact, another mini camp, and then you're going to wind up a training camp with contact. Guys who missed last year are going to come into the season severely behind.
I agree 100%. There's no doubt about it. There's not even a discussion for me on that. If you don't, it's like a baseball, and baseball is a batter. If your timing's off, it's off. You're not just going to get in the batter's box and hit 100-mile-an-hour pitch, and you were gone all year. Yeah. Same thing with football. Look what happened with this season, right? No preseason, no training camps, and they went from 0 to 100 week one, and look at all the injuries every single week. And that's because they couldn't gear up to it. And these were guys that played the year prior. So, yeah, definitely it's going to affect them big time. It also depends on the player, I think, and the position he plays. Because, let's say a guy played, 3 years of college ball and took the senior year off, as opposed to a guy who had 1 year of tape and missed a couple years or whatever. But, I agree with you guys 100%. It's that they need to be playing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this, guys. So, to me, if a guy took off last year, now I have a big problem with guys who don't play in their college bowl games. When they decide not to play. Now, I get the idea. Nobody wants to go out there and get hurt and ruin their chances of getting a pro contract. I get it, but stuff like that, when I'm putting together a scouting report, I'm going to look to say that's a selfish player. And that's going to put, that takes a point off the board. The same thing opted out for COVID. You're a 20, 21-year-old, machine. You don't take the year off because your team's playing because you don't want to get sick or you're afraid to play in that environment. To me, that tells me a little something about you as a player. Again, does it throw you out the window? No, but it definitely there's a point taken off in the scoring for me. Just saying.
It's more of a business decision for that player and the family. You get to that point, and you're a month or two from making, millions and millions of dollars. And so they probably figure, if I'm going to get hurt, I might as well get hurt in the NFL where my first, 2 or 3 years are guaranteed money, as opposed to getting hurt in college and you don't get dick in the NFL.
Well, I'll agree with that, guys. I want to run through since everybody always pays attention to the quarterbacks. I got a bunch of NFL teams that may or may not need a quarterback this year, and I think it's questionable what they do now. And Matt, you brought up a good one in Carolina. So, Jeff, Carolina Panthers just made a trade, picked up Sam Darnold, but is Sam Darnold, is he the guy for the future? Do the Carolina Panthers sitting at, I believe, 8, do they make a move and take a quarterback? They may not even make a move. They may have a quarterback fall into their lap. If you're the Carolina Panthers, are you looking at a quarterback this year in any stretch?
Well, maybe further down the line. I mean, I would think that they would want to give Sanchez, I'm sorry, Donald a good look. That's where my head is at.
Yeah.
Give Donald a good look and see what they have in him. Do I think he's the answer in Carolina? No. I think he's gotten hurt. I think he's played too erratic. I don't know if I would want him as my number one and my franchise quarterback. I was happy to see him go, being a Jet fan. And if the Jets let him go, I think that's saying something right there. This is a team that's needed a quarterback since Namath. So if they let a quarterback go, you know, they've seen plenty of them come and go. So if they let him go that easy, I don't think that I would put all my eggs in his basket.
Well, Frank, here's what I'm gonna say to that, Frank. So now you're the Carolina Panthers. You got Darnold now. You got you got Bridgewater still on your roster. Does he stay? I'm not sure. You know, do you at 8 look to grab a quarterback in the future? You know, because I don't see anybody after the top 5 guys or so. Anybody else after that is even more of a long range player. But if you're looking for a future guy, you might get him in your top 4 or 5 guys, which they might have an opportunity to get. Frank, did the Carolina Panthers take a shot at it?
I would bolster up my team. I'd bolster up my weapons around Donald. Believe it or not, if you go back to when he was drafted, he was ranked higher than anybody that's on this draft board right now other than Trevor Lawrence. And I think it's by a few points. So what the Jets did is the Jets didn't get rid of Sam Donald because they think he won't be a good quarterback. They got rid of him for the money because now they reset their clock to win with the new coach and the new GM. They can say, okay, instead of we got to force it for a year or two because that you know, coveted rookie quarterback contract. Now we can get a guy. We got 4 years to build the team around him. They know they're further away from the quarterback from where they need a lot more pieces. Reset the clock on a rookie quarterback that's going to be good, and then let Donald go somewhere else. And I think he's going to do well in Carolina.
I'm not a Matt. Matt, give me a quick minute on that one.
I think Donald's going to do well in Carolina for the simple fact he's got a better team around him. The Jets did nothing to help him on the offensive line. He never had a number 1 receiver. He never had a running game. And that spells doom for anybody behind center. End of story.
Yeah. Let's go to another one. Let's go to the Broncos. Now, the Broncos at 9, you know, guys, you know,
they need a quarterback.
Exactly. They have Drew Lock. They're in a spot where I'm not sure they can get one. But listen, if you play out at that spot, there may be somebody on the board at that point. You know, Frank, you know, you're the Denver Broncos. Are you locked into Drew Lock? Are you trying to shore up your team like you said for the Panthers?
I'm going to give you that, and you're going to think I was Drew Lock's quarterback rating 33rd in the league. Now I know Tommy's looking like, wait a second, there's only 32 teams. How is he 33rd?
Yeah.
Washington. He's 33rd quarterback ranking. You got to get for that team. That team's ready to win. You need a quarterback. If I was the Broncos, Atlanta, Cincinnati, one of those teams would be on my speed dial. San Francisco picks Mac Jones. I would be calling Atlanta and trying to get Fields, whatever they want. I give them whatever picks they want because Denver don't have a lot of holes. They have some. They don't have a lot. They can win with that team. Just get a quarterback that can play halfway.
Well, let me tell you something. You know, after Frisco, there is no guarantee anybody in there is taking a quarterback. Now, maybe Detroit could possibly take a quarterback. I mean, for a future, I don't think they will. I'm betting on Waddle. I got Smith going there. But, you know, after Frisco, which I guarantee you taking a quarterback, which one I'm not sure, you know, there's very little chance anybody between them and Denver takes a quarterback. So if you're Denver, you don't have to move up.
No, I think Denver's going to stay there. I think if Trey Lance is there, I think they're going to take him.
Well, we'll get to the quarterbacks in a minute. I want to run through them quick. So that's one. I think, Jeff, you know, with the retirement of Alex Smith, they cut him before that anyway, and Ryan Fitzpatrick, now the quarterback of that team. Can the beloved Washington Redskins, can they go grab a quarterback in this draft? Do they need to grab a quarterback in this draft?
Listen. Anybody could take a quarterback in this draft. That's
there's difference between, you know, a quarterback who you throw on your roster for maybe and go and get a legit quarterback. I'm asking you, do they try to play for one of these guys moving up or trying to grab a guy because they're sitting at number 19 in the draft, and I think they're desperate for a quarterback, Jeff.
Well, of course they're desperate for a quarterback. I mean, Fitzpatrick is maybe you get a year or two out of Fitzpatrick. He's not a long-term answer. You know that. Is there going to be a quarterback at 19 available that's going to be the next quarterback of your team? I don't see it with this draft. I don't see it. I will say this much. I think they're trying to hype up the people that are there, like Trey from North Dakota State. They're very high on him. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. Even the Jets, maybe possibly, because Douglas was there at his pro day today. And if he's so sold on Zach Wilson, why would he show up over there for that?
If you have to, because you have to do your you have to do your due diligence. You got to go.
I'm gonna tell you this: if the Jets draft Trey Lance, I will have the biggest party you ever saw in your life. I will be outside.
Listen, be careful.
Listen, don't laugh though. He's talented.
Let me tell you something.
What happens if your boy hits the wall running this year?
Let me tell you something about Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance is a fantastic athlete. I watched this highlight film on YouTube. It's all about Trey Lance running the football and running over small defensive backs in an inferior league. I'm not saying he doesn't have a great arm. Frankie, I watched Trey Lance's whole video, and I will tell you that every 3 plays shown on that, it's him running over somebody. He's a big, talented kid. He played in an inferior league. He played 1 good season. I'm not buying into Trey Lance. Maybe you could stash him on your roster. But I will tell you this, I promise to dear sweet God in heaven, if the Jets draft Trey Lance, I will be in front of your house at 11 o'clock at night singing and whistling, Jeff. So you better pray. I will be outside your house dancing the naked jig.
Trey Lance has to go to like Atlanta. Take Trey.
Yeah.
Out Ryan for a couple of years. Do something. Even New England could take play with Cam Newton this year, let him develop a little bit, and get his talents going. He's not a bad quarterback, but you're right. He needs some time to get developed.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, I think obviously I think we all agree. I mean, I won't speak for you. I think there's a tremendous drop-off after Lawrence. Okay. I think every single one of those guys, Zach Wilson reminds me of Chad Pennington. He's not a great arm, good head on his shoulders, doesn't throw a bad ball. I think he's a good pick, but I don't think he's a future great quarterback. But Matt, give me a quick minute on the after Trevor Lawrence. Give me a pick. Give me a little something on the quarterbacks. Those next 3-4 guys.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, I watched a lot of tape the last 2 weeks on Justin Fields and the issues that people have with him. I think we touched on this at the last show I was on, and I really like him. I think he's going to be a very good player. But I tell you, the more I watch Mac Jones play,
absolutely,
the more I'm just like enamored with this guy. Only for the fact that he's so. I mean, first of all, he studies like unbelievable. There's not a defense you're going to throw at him at the NFL level that he's not going to be able to diagnose. That's how smart this guy is.
Yep.
He's just so cerebral, and that's what I love about him. He has Joe Montana-esque like calmness in the pocket, and his feet are always set, and he's always calm in the pocket. He moves subtle left to the right. He'll move back when he needs to give his receiver more time to get open. He just does the little tiny things that most people just don't catch or don't see if they're not, a scout or, that kind of a coach in that way. But that's what I love about him. And, people say, he had all these great receivers around him in Alabama. Yeah, every quarterback that's gone through Alabama has had great receivers around him.
Sure.
But, I go back to, and of course, I'm going to say it because I'm a Cowboy fan, but when Troy Aikman came into the league, he was drafted high, number 1, all this stuff, and he got his ass kicked his first year. And then he lost every game. And then Steve Walsh came in, and it was even worse.
Yeah.
Until he got a team around him.
Yeah.
Emmett, the massive offensive line, all these picks started piling, and then Aikman was, what he became. But only because this team they built around him.
Sure.
And so that's always been my case for quarterbacks. You always get the shit end of the stick, always. But the ones that really stand out to me from our era growing up, number 1, Dan Marino, John Elway, they had shit defenses every freaking year, but they always were, had their teams right there. They were always in the playoffs. They made it to the Super Bowl. But those are like the real upper echelon type guys. And I'm not even going to say Ken O'Brien. So
I think Ken O'Brien.
I hope Dallas is the next team that goes down after the Giants and the fucking Dolphins.
I like Kenny O'Brien. I think Kenny O'Brien was a good quarterback, but again, needed a little more talent on that team. I think that's still
But no, see, I disagree with that. I disagree with that. He had Al Toon, Freeman McNeil. He had the other great receiver on the other side of Toon, Mickey Schuler at tight end. They had a great offense at that time.
Yeah.
Al Toon had a fucking brain like oatmeal, bro. Come on, man.
He was still a great receiver.
Spell his name. He can't spell his first name.
Freeman McNeil was a first half runner. After the second half of the season, Freeman McNeil's numbers, look it up, dropped tremendously. It was
offensive
a
line sucked too.
It was a decent offensive line. The defense was okay, overrated a little bit. I always say that team was a little.
Who was the other receiver to Jets? Oh, Wesley Walker. He was another one.
One eye.
Yeah, one eye.
But
anyway,
yeah. So I mean, listen.
To seal up your point.
Yeah.
To seal up your point, I really like Mac Jones right after Trevor Lawrence a lot. I think Justin Fields is going to be a good player. Now Trey Lance, yes, talented. I watched his second pro day. They tweaked his footwork a little bit, and he was his throwing motion and everything, keeping his foot down, his front foot down. He was much more accurate with his throws, especially out routes. Those deep out routes, right on the money.
Was there a lot of pressure on him in the shorts and the T-shirt when he was
no. Listen, I agree with that aspect of it. I think hold on. I think pro days are a joke. I really do.
Jeff, I watch these people oohing and ahhing over Justin Fields. Look at him throwing. I'm going, the guy's wearing a half shirt and shorts.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Come on.
I mean, maybe the only thing you could say about that is about the accuracy on some of the routes that these guys ran and that they're throwing the ball. I understand that there was no pressure and everything. That's fine. But still, to throw the ball deep and still be accurate, that shows a little something. It shows a little promise.
And the timing as well. Yeah, they look at the timing as well on these throws. So, and it's also another way for all the scouts to get to talk to these guys one-on-one and just, interview them.
That end of it, I get, guys. Frank, I get the idea that you want to go there and you want to sit down with a guy, you want to look him in the eye. I'm all for that. I'm old school that way too, Frankie. But when I watch a guy, they tell me, well, his timing is good. Yeah, he knows when the stab's coming, right? Okay, there's nobody coming after him. He knows that in 3 steps, he'd have to read, turn, to look across the defense. No progression on his read. He's throwing the ball. Of course, his timing is good. So to me, it's bullshit.
The pro days and the compound and all of that crap. Like you said, that's a farce to me. What that gives the chance for the coach there to stand on the side, pick his brain, one-on-one personal with him.
That I think is great.
What were you thinking when you threw that? Because Matt will tell you, the bottom line is the tape. Yes. It doesn't matter what they do pro day because, like you said, you're throwing the T-shirts. and some of the passes that they make in pro day, put shoulder pads on them with a little pressure, they can't make them anymore.
That's my problem with it too, Frank. I agree with that. Hey, did either one of you guys, Jeff, I'll ask you first. The Eagles picking at 12, they just got rid of Wentz, and they've committed to Jalen Hurts. Any chance the Eagles could take a quarterback in this draft if one fell to them?
Of course, dude. There's a lot of teams that could fit the mold of wanting to take a quarterback at some point in time. Are you going to find the quarterback of your future at number 12? Anything is possible, but I don't think it's going to be one of the big top 5 names that everybody's talking about this year. One may that's why they keep saying that Justin Fields may somehow fall down to 17. I think it's to the Patriots, and I just don't see that. I just don't see it.
I would the Patriots were very aggressive in free agency. Don't be surprised if you don't see the Patriots moving up. I don't say 4, but maybe 8, maybe 7, try and get up a little bit and grab one of these quarterbacks. Because the Patriots, and I'm telling you, Atlanta's crazy if they don't take a quarterback at 4 because, like we just talked about with the CBAs and not getting the reps, you only got a couple more years with Matt Ryan. You got a couple of quarterbacks. You don't want to be sitting at 4. You're hoping you're not picking 4 again next year with the team you have. So grab your backup, your heir apparent now.
No, I would agree with that to a certain extent. I think, to tell you the truth, I think if the Patriots were to move up to draft a quarterback, it's to get Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is one of those guys who needs to be in a system. He needs to be in a certain system, and I think he falls into that category. I think that's where a place he needs to wind. It could be other places. I keep hearing the rumor that he's going to wind up in Frisco, and I'm just. For some reason, I don't see that. Let's get Matt back on.
You know what I don't understand about Mac Jones? I saw him, a little tape on him the other day at his pro day. He looks like he's got the dad bod. What would you want this guy on your team in the first place? He doesn't look like he's exactly the most athletic.
Kind of like Matt said, Joe Montana made him to more like a Peyton Manning. Diligence. He's very good in the pocket, very comfortable, relaxed in the pocket, makes the right throws. Good with the reads. And like you said, that's why I think that third pick is really important, because I'm telling you right now, just like I said about Denver trying to move to 4, if San Francisco picks Fields and Mac Jones is available, you could see New England, Chicago, Washington, like we talked about, some of these teams trying to push their way up to that 4 or 5 spot to grab him, because Mac Jones to me is
Yeah, I feel terrible. I would feel terrible if any quarterback goes to Chicago right now.
Oh, yeah, you'd have. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's like the Jim McMahon was actually on some show and said that his favorite place to play quarterback was the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah.
Chicago's where quarterbacks go to die.
And meanwhile, he's probably, I would say, I'm going to guess, he's probably the best modern day Chicago quarterback.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
well, certainly ain't Trubisky, that's for sure.
Who now is the backup quarterback in Buffalo? If you can imagine that. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy. But listen, let's go through the divisions a little bit. I want you guys to break down your team. We'll do it quick, and then we'll go through the divisions. We'll talk about who's going to be what and what we think, and then we'll run through the top 10, and then we'll see what we got left. And yeah, I'll keep you guys as long as you want. But this is the NFL Draft Preview Show on the Hard Rocket Sports Show. We got Jeff and myself here every Thursday night. We're joined by our good friends Matt Sleetry and Frank Jeffrey. Again, remember, next Thursday is the draft itself. We'll be live. Maybe the boys will pop in from now and then and give us some analysis on the picks as they go. Frank, I'll start with you and the Dolphins. Your team is an enigma to me. I know that you've been talking a lot about offense in the draft. I think this team needs to draft defense in one of those 2 number 1 picks. To be honest, I think they need a little help. Listen, it'd be great to get Waddle and then get Najee Harris or Travis Etienne later on. But to me, they need a little help defensively. But give me a minute on the Dolphins and where they are at this point.
Yeah, I agree with you. I would like to see us at 6 get whoever drops there. It's going to be Pitt or Chase or even Smith. Whoever falls there, plan to do. You got to grab that receiver and the weapons there. And then at 18, like you said, I know Harris would be a nice pick for us to get out of it, but I think same thing. I think we got to go edge rusher here. Grab some help on a defense to the edge rusher. And at 36, we can still get Williams from North Carolina. That's a good back for us.
Yeah, I agree. I think this team. I think your team is, it's in a division now where I think Buffalo's a little better than everybody, and we're not sure where New England's going to be. They get a lot of players back who didn't play last year, and they've had a hell of a off season picking up players. Again, I understand. Listen, man, I'm with you even with my own Giants. You add a lot of names and stuff, and I'm not huge on that kind of stuff, but they at least made some moves. I think they're going to be better. How much, I don't know. I still think Miami may be the second best team in that division, Frank.
Yeah, I agree. I think at this point we still are. New England made a lot of ads, and they're better, but they're still the third best team right now.
New England's still got a problem with the quarterback, but Jeff, you're shaking your head. Good. You want to? I know you want.
I think that Miami Dolphins are going to take the leap. Maybe not to be the best team this year, but I think that next year, I think they're going to be the team to be reckoned with in that division. If they get a couple solid pieces this year, they're going to be a hard team to top next year. I don't think that Buffalo, I don't want to say that they topped out, but I just got a feeling that, you signed Trubisky as your backup. I don't know if they're going to take the next step that they need to take. I think Miami is going to take that step next before Buffalo.
It all depends on one thing with Miami. and that's Tua.
Yep,
That's it.
that's the biggest thing. Yeah, I agree.
Of course. Of course.
The year before, Tua had no reps the year before in college injury. Different than COVID, I get it, but looking to get picked up.
Frankie Jeffrey's got the Chevy Chase syndrome over there. Gilda Radner.
Yeah, Frank, you're breaking up just a little bit. Able to get a little closer. There you go.
Picking up again.
Yeah, now you're good.
Yeah, that's good.
All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But
so,
like I was saying, just like we talked about with opting out for COVID, I know it wasn't COVID, it was an injury, but Tua lost the whole year, and he lost those reps, and then we had no preseason, so he was a year behind. And I think last year, believe it or not, was almost like a preseason for him, learning and developing. Let's see what he could do. I'm really scared, and I've talked about this with you, Matt, and I think Tommy as well. I'm really scared with two bad hips, pivoting and making those throws outside the numbers into the corners. They're going to be tough if you have bad hips and they're not working. You need those legs to function to get to those special throws.
well,
And he's young too, man, to have such injuries and to be struggling like that, man. That ain't good.
well, it's the AFC is going to be a tough division, Jeff, and your Jets. They need a lot of help. There's still a long way. And I think the fear, if you're a Jet fan, first off, how good really is Zach Wilson? I mean, his tape is not big, and while it's got some good stuff on it, he does remind me of Chad Pennington. He's got a little bit of a slight, not the biggest body, doesn't have a tremendous arm. I think
That's what worries me about him more than anything is he's got such a slight build.
Yeah. So
Dude,
Jeff,
I think even Pennington was bigger than him.
The
he might
biggest
have
problem-
been.
Well, he
The
was
biggest problem for the-
6'3", 210. He's like 205 or 210, right?
Yeah, soaking wet.
Yeah.
The biggest problem for the Jets is not who they take. It's having trust in their scouting system and the general manager now, because this is an important draft. You got to hope that they're right with the picks. They need so many different.
What, you didn't like Vernon Golston?
What's that?
Vernon Golston.
Please. They need so many different pieces. It's like they can pick almost anything, but are they going to pick the right ones?
But
is Zach Wilson the right quarterback?
Well, they did pick Quinnen Williams, and he's awesome.
Yeah, but the first year he didn't look very good, but he looks like he's coming on. I mean, if they hit with Zach Wilson, that's good. What do they go with the 23rd? Do they go after a cornerback? Do they go after an offensive lineman? I would like to see them get the quarterback, a cornerback, and an offensive lineman within the 3 picks of the first 2 rounds.
At 23rd, if I was the Jets, I'd pick like a nice running back, or like you say, a nice wide receiver. Help out that offense right away.
Yeah, see, I would not go receiver. Not that I love their receiving core. I think it's okay. Mims, Crowder, and the kid they just got in the free agency.
Tennessee.
Yeah, the kid from
I
Tennessee.
mean, a lot of
Corey
people have
Davis.
Yeah, who
ATN.
I'm not huge on, but I think I wouldn't go early like this. I think there's enough. There's enough later on. The running back, that might not be a bad thing for the Jets. If
The Jets need a running back. They have no explosiveness out of that position at all.
Might be there.
At
The
all.
kid from North Carolina might be a guy who falls in that spot. That
Both the running backs from Carolina are going to be good players.
ATN dropping to them at 23rd.
Yeah,
I
but
agree with you.
if they're going to pick a running back at 23rd, they're going to pick Harris, or what? If they're not going to pick Williams, they're going to pick Harris.
Well, the problem I have with ATN is there's a lot of mileage on those tires. That guy has played a lot of football in college.
Yeah, but he is spectacular, though.
No. I'm not doubting it at all. I'm just saying he's a guy who you might not get the length of contract. Now, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe you want 3-4 years. Maybe he's okay. I also think he's a little sketchy in catching the ball out of the backfield. I'm not sold on him pass protection. And as a runner, fantastic. I like Harris a little better, but I love the 2 kids out of North Carolina. I think that they're not getting enough hype. Maybe not first round guys. Maybe Steelers can grab one of those guys.
I was just going to say that the Steelers have nobody.
Yeah, I think the Steelers are going to come out in the first round with a running back, and that's going to be interesting. But Jeff, your Jets in a tough spot because I think the division's gotten better, and they still have a lot of holes secondary wise.
The Jets ain't getting that much better this year. Even if they hit the draft, they're still not. They got to get that team together. They need a bunch of pieces before they're really making any kind of threat for anything in that division.
Yeah.
4th place is theirs.
Now, I agree with here's the thing. Now, ballsy move for the Jets would have been to trade back, take an offensive lineman, they could have took Penny Sewell at some point, but they need a quarterback. And so I understand that you have no choice. They got to make the move, especially now that they traded Darnold. But again, they could throw a brick in the air and it come down on a play that they could use on that team at this point.
Yeah.
But Jeff, if you had your choices, you want the quarterback at 2. What do you want at number 23? What are you looking for?
I'd like to see them get another tackle,
Okay,
or something, or a center at 23.
Well, that's a good question. I have to look at my. There's a couple of kids. I don't think he'll be there. The kid from USC is a guy that I like, but I don't know about a first rounder. He's probably more in the second round.
You talking about Tucker?
Yeah, I like Tucker. I do. I love Dickerson. I love the kid Dickerson from Alabama, but again, center guard. That point,
The best center in this draft is Creed Humphrey from Oklahoma.
Okay. Yes, agreed. 100%. Matt, let's get over to the Cowboys a little bit. Your Cowboys, didn't win the division last year. There's a lot of holes. Dak's back. Spent a lot of money on on a couple of on him and Cooper and that team. Where do you? To me, Cowboys probably a defensive back at that spot. Where could the Cowboys go?
Well, I'll try and make it real quick. In the Super Bowl, both tackles for the Chiefs were out, and it showed.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was on the run the whole game. So, you can make the argument for cornerback for sure. But when you have a pass rush, if you have decent corners, but little above average cover corners that can hold down the fort for 2-3 seconds, if you have a dominant pass rush, it really doesn't matter. I don't think Tampa Bay had great cover corners. No. It's just that they had a great pass rush. When the Giants were winning Super Bowls, what did they have all the time? A great pass rush. Guys coming in and out all the time. And it was like a wave of Giants players coming at them all the time. And I just feel like, at 10, honestly, I'd like to see them drop down to 15 with the Patriots, pick up an extra second. People are not talking about what they really need, and that's linebackers. Leighton Van Der Esch has been hurt every single year. Jalen Smith makes tackles 10 yards downfield, and he was lost last year. Sean Lee's done.
Yeah.
Both Van Der Esch and Smith, they're free agents. They're going to be unrestricted free agents after the season. They're not picking up Van Der Esch's fifth-year option, and they're going to cut Smith. You watch next year because they'll save $5 million against the cap. Mm-hmm. So then who do they have a linebacker? Nobody. So I would like to see them trade from 10 to 15, pick up an extra second, take one of the top linebackers like Zavon Collins. I love. He's a big physical, 6'4", 40-pound guy who's been, he can cover tight ends, cover backs out of the backfield. He's done it all year at Tulsa. I love Nick Bolton, although I think that's too high for him. He's more of a bottom first, early second round. He reminds me of a Sam Mills type linebacker, love run and hit type of guy. But I just think that, even Micah Parsons, that he would be, my God, I mean, that guy's a missile. A great sideline to sideline linebacker.
Parsons is a very good chance Parsons is going to wind up being there. I do believe that he's going to drop. I think the rumors running around about his off the field stuff, opted out last year. I think Parsons is going to be there. Would I be excited as a Giant fan to get him? Probably. He's got a world of talent.
Oh, he's got a ton of talent.
But the problem is, again, another guy who didn't play last year, off the field issues. I'm hoping that somebody takes him, before the Giants get there. That's how I feel about it.
The problem is, again, and I think it's a big problem for a lot of teams that are looking at corners, like we said earlier in the show.
Yeah.
After Surtain and J.C. Horn and even Farley, because I think we said with his back issue, he'll drop a little bit. There's a huge drop-off at corner. So if Dallas doesn't take a corner in the first round, I see a tumble effect. Like they're just going to take someone, and it's not going to be a good enough player. Yeah. They have 2 third-round picks and 2 fourth-round picks with the compensatory stuff. So you could always take those and trade up, maybe back up into the first round. Like say Farley falls, right? Let's say Dallas at 10 stays at 10, and they take, a Parsons or, maybe drop a little bit. I love the Christian Barmore, defensive tackle from Bama. He's a beast.
Yeah, but see, there's a guy who's scared. He's short amount of tape.
Yeah, true.
He's got a couple issues. His last few games were great. So maybe he found his stride. But there's a guy who didn't really play much high school football, played one year of college football, and didn't really excel till later in the season. So that guy scares me. But yes, that'd be a guy.
So it's like I said, like if they, I just feel like if Farley starts to fall, maybe they try to say, oh shit, like trade back up into the first round, kill two birds with one stone. So we'll see what happens. Again, it's all speculation and what ifs and stuff. But for me personally, I hope they stay right there at 10 and they take Patrick Surtain or Horn and end the story. I
think that's a safe pick. If you're the Cowboys, that's the safest pick you can make. I think. Yep. I honestly don't think that Surtain is the best of the bunch, but I think he's the most pro-ready and probably the less gamble of all of them. I don't think his upside is as good as the other two guys. I think
he is. Horn is more of a physical ball hawk type. He's got more ball skills, I think. He really attacks the ball in the air, gets high points, a lot of stuff. Yeah. Surtain is a technician. He's not going to get beat a lot. He's always going to be in good position, and he is a big physical kid. And you're right. I mean, his father was an amazing corner with the Dolphins. Mm-hmm. He was fantastic. So yeah, I think if they stay there, and again, a lot of people overlooking it. Getting Tyron Smith back and their right tackle back, who was a Pro Bowler. Mm-hmm. That offensive line was an awful sieve of injuries last year. So
it's getting a little old on that offensive line though right now, Matt. So
I agree. I mean, I'm hoping second, third round they get, because I think this draft is pretty deep at tackle. And
I agree with you. Yes, I agree.
There's a lot of nice looking tackle. I love that kid Taven Jenkins from Oklahoma State. He is a physical, bash you in the face type of tackle.
There's a drop off there after Sewell, but yes, there's still some very talented offensive linemen in this draft.
Absolutely.
Jeff, to the NFC East though, weakest division of football last year, no doubt about it. I don't know if as much has been done. I think the Redskins don't have a serious quarterback. I still think there's a lot of issues on offense over there. The Cowboys still have issues on their defense. Matt spelled out their linebackers. What was a strength everybody thought maybe a year or two ago is not. The Eagles are a mess. The Giants probably played a little bit of good football at the end of last year, but still a lot of questions at quarterback. Still a lot of questions. Can Barkley stay healthy? Jeff, give us the overview of the NFC East.
No, it's a weak division, like you said. I don't think that there's any team right now that you could project to be the favorite to win the division. If Dak Prescott comes back and he's healthy, first he's got to come back from that injury. Is he going to be gun shy at all when he comes back? And is it going to show? Is Daniel Jones going to take the next step forward? You got Fitzpatrick.
You mean instead of falling down while he's running?
You got Fitzpatrick going to Washington. What about that kid that played in the playoff for them last year? Give him a shot. He was doing good against Tampa Bay when he was in there playing.
I agree with that one.
I think the Eagles are probably the worst team in that division right now.
Thank God.
Yeah, thank God is right. I agree with that. I think the Eagles are
somebody's going to keep you guys out of last place.
I don't know about that. I think the Giants will be. I still think right now.
I mean, both you and Matt's team.
I think
the Eagles are the foundation of that division over there.
I think the Giants right now are in the best position of any team in that division. Now, I'm not saying they're the best team in that division, but the Giants have done everything they possibly can. I think they had a good free agent round. They're in a good spot in the draft where they can take the best player available. They don't have to take and fill a need. Again, it comes down to, is the offensive line going to gel? And
Tommy, listen, I think you're underselling your team a little bit, and I'm not. I hate the Eagles more than any team in sports, but the Giants. Listen, if Barkley stays healthy, and they did a great job, I think, getting Galladay. I like their receiving core.
Yep.
Their defense, to me, is the best in that division, without a doubt.
100%.
Now, here's the thing. I call him Dopey Danny, but I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's terrible. He's not fantastic. I think he's a good player. He needs the ball security better. But I think, honestly, the Giants, if Rashawn Slater is there at 11, they should take him, no doubt about it. This guy can play all 5 positions on the offensive line.
Yep.
I think he's a bona fide plug-and-play player. He's the closest thing to Penei Sewell after him. Mm-hmm. And I think he's a physical mauler. He's shown that he can hit second-level targets. and I think he's very smart. And if they shore that up, you go in the second round, I think they get another receiver. And I think that team is the only team in that division that will come down to, health between the Cowboys and the Giants. And that's it. I don't, the Redskins have a really good defensive line, but their secondary is weak.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback is 75 years old. And they don't really have a solid offensive line.
Team or something like that.
I just, AARP won't even take him. So, it's tough. And yes, the Eagles are an absolute mess. So
yeah, it's the truth. Hard Rocket Sports. Jeff and Tom hanging with the boys. Matt and Frank. We're talking NFL draft. When next week we'll be doing the show live right here. We'll cover probably the good part of the first round, at least the first 2.5 hours. Jeff and I will go through the players. We'll tell some stories. We'll hang out, and hopefully, like I said, the boys will pop up during the draft and give their analysis, especially when their teams are on the board. It'd be nice to have them on while their team is picking. But
are we gonna wait until the teams pick, or are we gonna come in at a certain time, or how do you want to do this?
I'm gonna give you guys the thing. You can pop in and pop out anytime you want. You can come in before your team picks, after they pick, during their pick. You can pop.
Well, I think we should all pop in right after the Giants pick, because then our teams will have all picked a player.
Again, you guys can be on at any point for as long as you want. We're going to be sitting here doing the show. You guys are welcome at any time. I will send you the link. You can come on anytime you want. You can not pop up. You can come on at the end. Anything you guys want, it's fine with me and Jeff. I think it's
all right.
So let's get to the draft itself a little bit. The big question for me is: listen, we all know the Jaguars are going to take Trevor Lawrence. Anybody got any issue with that?
Nope.
No.
The Jets are taking Zach Wilson, right? I think we're all pretty secure in the fact. Jeff, you see any doubt?
I'm still not sold that they're going to take him at 2. I'm really not.
I got to be honest with you, Tom. I agree with you, Matt. I think it's up in the air right now.
Wow.
I think they're leaning towards Zach Wilson, but I think there was a reason why they went to go see Trey today, and the thought of possibly Justin Fields. There's a lot of people that are hyping him up too. I see more people talking up the kid from North Dakota and Justin Fields. I can't even think of this kid's name, man.
Trey Lance.
Trey Lance. I see them two guys getting talked up more, but I hate to say this. I don't know if I could say this here with the current weather situation out there. I think they're pushing certain candidates a little harder than they are others. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Are you saying social justice has creeped into the Jets?
I didn't say that. I just said that I think certain players are getting pushed a little harder than others.
Well, I have to tell you. Let me tell you something. There's teams out there that can take a flyer on a guy and not worry about it. The New York Football Jets are not that team. Frankie, if I will tell you this, there will be few people more excited than me if the Jets take Trey Lance, and Frankie would be one of them.
Listen to me. If the Jets,
I would in the basement.
Throw a party if they take Trey Lance. Don't get me wrong. Trey Lance has an amazing upside, but he needs a year or two behind somebody learning.
Well, that's maybe the only reason they don't take him.
That these other guys played.
Yeah,
that may be the only reason they don't take him. But right now, me personally, the way I feel, if the Jets were looking at Tom Brady, Joe Montana, and Terry Bradshaw, I would worry about who the fourth guy was. That's how I feel, because I just know, when you're just waiting for it to fuck up. That's how I feel.
That's pretty good.
Confidence you have in your team to do
that. Right, Jeff. That's pretty good. That may be the line of the night so far.
Well, but it's the truth, dude. It's the truth. How can you put any kind of faith in what they do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Listen, win consistently. Put together a 2 or 3 years where you actually win. Give me some hope. I'm going to be 55 years old. I'm going to die without watching this team get to the Super Bowl. It's disheartening.
Jeff, if you move to Florida, your life expectancy will go up.
It goes up a little bit. Yeah, you got to come down with us.
Yeah, my luck, I'll still be a Jet fan. It'll just be 4 years.
You can still be a Jet fan.
Next year's draft, the three of us are going to be at a beach someplace doing the show live.
Bet your ass I'm going to be.
God. So listen, here's where it gets interesting in the draft is at number 3 with the Niners. Now, we all know the Niners moved up to draft a quarterback. Not surprising. I don't think anybody there is in love with Jimmy Garoppolo anymore. In fact, I would not be shocked if they drafted a quarterback that Jimmy G gets traded at some point. Somebody makes the offer and takes Jimmy G off their hands. Maybe somebody in New England. I'm not so sure, but we'll see. Who's the quarterback? Because I've seen Vegas has changed the odds right now. Right now, it's Mac Jones. I think that's the worst place for Mac Jones to wind up. To be honest with you, I've seen Justin Fields, and I've heard lately Trey Lance. So obviously, they're just throwing names out there, guys. Frankie, who goes to San Francisco?
Well, I agree with. I think Mac Jones is the guy they should pick. He's the best ready, available guy if they're going to get rid of Garoppolo. But Justin Fields might be the one. It might be because Justin Fields can play the type of offense that he wants to run there. Mac Jones is a pocket passer. They don't like to run just dead set pocket passing.
Matt,
that's a good point. I think they draft Cliff Stout.
You might as well at this point. You might as well.
All right, fine. Probably. I think Frank, you made a good point about the athletic ability. So probably Bubby Brister would be better there. But yeah, no, I think Justin Fields should go there. His playbook is really intricate. There's a lot of routes going on within one, so to speak. So Justin Fields ran that kind of offense at Ohio State. A lot of routes within the route. So, and yes, I agree. He wants the guy that could be able to roll out and run and stuff like that. So, I agree. I think the pick's Justin Fields.
Likes to play that kind of offense. And Mac Jones, while I think he's probably the better or more ready for that, that's not the spot for him. It's not the perfect fit for Kyle Shanahan. I don't.
But if you go back and watch Mac Jones play last year, I listened to the announcers when he would drop back to pass and get under duress and slide to his left, and then all of a sudden he'd take off and scramble. Even they were surprised. But you know what? He did it, and he can run. He's just not that type of quarterback, but he can run.
No, he can move.
No, it's not a question of that, but he doesn't fit the mold of the today quarterback who's athletic and more able to. I think he's underrated for that because he didn't have to do that in college.
Right.
He was throwing bubble screens to guys who were pro level guys. I mean, so he handed the ball to Najee Harris or dump a little out of the backfield. So I don't think I agree with you guys. It's a quarterback. I'm up in the air. I've been going back.
A friend of mine's a big San Francisco fan, and I told him that Mac Jones is awesome, but he's the quarterback of Christmas past. Fields is the quarterback of Christmas future.
Wow. You're still gonna have to prove to me what Ohio State quarterbacks ever come out in the league and played well. So
none.
Exactly. So until one of them come out and does it, I heard the same thing about Haskins coming out. Haskins is the guy. No, let's get to Atlanta at number 4. To me, I think they can go a million.
Kyle Pitts.
I agree with you. I got Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts.
I think they're going to try to make a run, beef up the offense. I mean, they can use help at DB, running back, edge, quarterback. They can even draft. No way. Kyle Pitts right there. Frankie, going to break your heart. Kyle Pitts goes at number 4 to the Atlanta Falcons.
I disagree. I think Atlanta Falcons are trading out of that 4, and somebody's coming up to pick whatever field.
They better get a boatload of picks for that number 4 spot.
Oh,
I'm sure they're gonna. So, like I said, don't be surpsurprised. Somebody like New England who has so many of those compensatory.
Let me throw this out there. Real quick. You guys were saying, Trey Lance earlier. If he goes behind somebody and learns for a year or two, why isn't Atlanta a candidate for him? How long are they going to stick with Ryan?
I just made my second point. Atlanta would be crazy not to take Trey Lance. If I was Atlanta, I'd stay at 4. I'd take Trey Lance. He's got a year or 2 to work behind Matt Ryan. Learn the system. That would be my pick.
But here's why. Here's why they won't, because Atlanta knows not that they're a now team, but they're running out of time with Julio Jones. That team's running out of time before it gets revamped. So
that's why a team like that's running out of time. That's why you trade out of 4, get a boatload of picks,
but
and like you said, you shore up all the other holes you have. To pick another offensive weapon is crazy.
I think they're going to try to go for that division this year, and they take Pitts. Jeff, what do you want to say, Jeff?
I don't see Atlanta doing anything. I think they're going to be even further in the hole this year. If I was Atlanta, I would trade out of the 4th spot.
They lost a ton of players on defense. A ton.
Defense is bad. Really bad.
They've just been steadily getting worse since their Super Bowl loss.
Dan Fouts, San Diego Chargers, where they could score 1 million points, but they give up 1 million too.
Yep.
Listen, I don't disagree. My pick in there, I agree with Matt 100%. I think Pitts is the guy. I think he's everybody's, Christmas present this year. I'm not buying it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I think Kyle Pitts. I think the interesting one now in Cincinnati needs help. I think they give him Jamar Chase right to his buddy Joe Burrows, and I think Cincinnati adds a weapon to that arsenal, and I think Jamar Chase winds up as a Cincinnati Bengal.
Well, after that injury he had last year, you don't think that you think that Chase is going to be the guy? I think they jump all over Sewell. How do you pass on a left tackle like that?
I agree with you on it. I do, but I think in this day and age, teams are going to want the player. And again, I wouldn't take Waddle myself. I Chase myself, but I think the connection. I think Joe Burrow's in everybody's ear right now. That's my. I think it
could be. It could be. There's.
If I was Joe Burrows and I was in his ear right now, I'd be like, "Hey, can I sit upright for a little while?"
Yeah, well,
that's what you need. He can't throw the ball. There was somebody on Twitter that put this little. They had 3 stick figures, and one was Burrows on the ground with somebody on top of him, and a guy named Anybody standing there as the offensive lineman, and the ball landing, and Chase standing out there getting ready to receive it. And then the next stick figure was they picked Sewell. And Burrow's throwing to anybody wide open. He can throw the ball then.
Good. So tell me what you guys think Cincinnati's going. They're going Sewell? Is that where you're picking, Matt?
I think so. They drafted an excellent receiver last year out of what was it? What the hell is his name? Out of Clemson. Yeah. And he was coming on strong. He was a rookie last year. Yeah. Now I know they got rid of Green. And they need a receiver, but this draft is deep at receiver, and they're picking number 4 or 5 in the second round. You could still get a playmaker like Kadarius Toney and guys like that from or the kid from Minnesota. A lot of these guys, there's a lot of good receivers left in this draft, high up in the second round. I don't think you can pass up a premier, guaranteed health-wise 10-year Pro Bowler at left tackle at 6'5", 335 that can move like him. He's just too difficult to get around, and he's powerful. So
I agree. But
like you said, they pick at 35. At 35, they can get Marshall.
Absolutely.
They can get that Bateman guy, like you said, from Minnesota.
Yep.
There's a couple of guys ripe for the picking at 35. I think
those guys could go in the first round too. They're just getting pushed down into the second for just because of other teams picking other needs in front of them. But those guys are all bottom first round receivers.
Go ahead, Jeff. I see you wanting to pop in there. Go ahead.
No, I had heard that they were going to go after that kid from LSU too.
Listen, guys.
More than one place I saw it.
Yeah, again, what I think today it's probably
can't throw to him if you're on your fucking face.
I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you 100%, but I also think that guys
making him comfortable by getting somebody he knows.
They may be those guys that you can't pass up. I had Sewell in there in the beginning, and then I walked myself out of it. I read enough stuff around the thing. I have a hard time believing that Miami or Cincinnati and Detroit, I think the 3 receivers go right in a row. That's why I got it. I got Chase going, then Waddle going to the Dolphins, and then I got Smith going to the Lions. I think those 3 teams are not gonna pass up on these guys.
I think the Dolphins will take Smith before they take Waddle, though.
I would take Smith because I think Smith. My problem with Smith, he's a little on the thin side, a little bit. He's more, and I think he's more of an inside guy than he is outside right now. But I think Waddle takes a hit for me because of the opt out year. But I don't think teams and the pros are thinking that way. And I think Waddle's got a tremendous upside. If he comes back and plays the way he did before last year. He's the guy. So
any one of those guys will be fine with me.
I can't argue that. I think they go 3 in a row. Chase, Waddle, Smith, Chase, Smith, Waddle, however you want to call it. And I think
if the Dolphins can manage to get Pitts there, they would be one of the top offenses because they'd have Pitts in the slot.
Yeah, because his wingspan is
go down to
he's got a huge wingspan and catch radius. And
no, but you got to remember something. We still got Gesicki to play tight end. And then you got Fuller and you got Devontae Parker on the outside.
That's why I like Gesicki. Why would you go to the tight end? To me, you got to go one of these three guys at that point.
Because last year the Dolphins played Gesicki in the slot 75% of the time, and Smythe played tight end.
So then, if you're going to pick up Pitts, where do you play Gesicki? If he's playing,
put him back at tight end where he belongs, and you get rid of Smythe, and you have Pitts for the slot. Then you got a nightmare in between the numbers, and Tua needs that because he's young. He'll develop quicker when you got that nightmare between the numbers.
Matt, you can give me your Pitts. He's a tweener. I'm not telling you that the guy's not a physical specimen, but until I see a guy like that come out, to me, it's the old adage: if you got two quarterbacks, you got none. If you got two positions, you got none.
Well, I don't think he's a tight end. Honestly, I think you could put him out at Z or the X, and he can dominate out there. There is no corner in the NFL that I can see right now, aside from maybe Ramsey and maybe one or two other ones that could stay with him down the field. I mean, I don't know. I don't like the division he played in college. It's very weak. It's very soft.
I agree.
And when he, and I couldn't stand Kyle Trask anyway. I think he's another one. But he was that old adage, a men among boys.
Yeah.
So I want to see a linebacker because you didn't see this from him in college. I want to see a linebacker who's, like Parsons, 6'3", 250, who can run with him and just punch the shit out of him at the line and see how physical they can be against him. And if he can get off that and learn to get off that and get downfield, then other teams are going to have a hard time stopping this guy. But until he shows that, I think he's definitely got the talent. I mean, and that you made comments about the wingspan and stuff. That definitely plays a part when you have a corner who's 5'10", 5'11", and your wingspan is 7 foot something, and then you can jump. Who's gonna jump with him? Who's gonna cover that? Nobody.
A lot of guys who have long arms in the pros, it doesn't equate. Jeff, Jeff, my big thing with some of these guys like Trey Lance, like Pitts, is they play in what I like to call inferior divisions. Now Trey Lance is even worse. He plays in a conference that's inferior, and I think it's hard when you look at that talent. It's a man amongst boys sometimes, Jeff. So I mean, if you're a talent evaluator, how much do you read into not only how they play but where they play?
Listen, some of these scouts and stuff, they see things about these guys, whether it's their footwork, their accuracy, what their reads, the way they look at certain things. I think they go beyond the talent that they play against. Like if you're an NFL team, are you going to take a chance on a kid just because you think he may be good somewhere down the line? There has to be something that's going to grab you and draw you towards him, especially in the first round. They're not just going to waste a pick on a kid just because somebody I think he's going to be good 2 years from now.
Here's my argument. Here's my quick argument on that, Jeff. Miami Dolphins drafted Tannehill, and he was a receiver. He only had 8 games at quarterback, and it showed in Miami. He wasn't that great in Miami. He's better in Tennessee. Why? Better talent around him, dominant running game.
Right.
But he's a game manager, and he got better as the years went on. He got better. So that's what we're saying. What we're talking about, Trey Lance. He only played 8 games last year at quarterback. And he's got a world of talent, but I think he'll get better in time. And it's just like you said, he's just got to go to the right team. He's got to sit for a little while.
But is a guy like Trey Lance going to end up going to a place like New England and being successful? Like just take New England, for example. Why would Bill Belichick want to draft him of all people? You're saying that he has 8 games of experience. So now you expect him to take that team to the next level and be
not this year, no.
No, it won't be not this year, but it's about the tape. Like you said, it's what they see on the tape. The footwork, the accuracy. Can he read the defenses? No matter how bad the defense is, does he read where the guy is? Is he following the right reads? Is he finding his open guys? That equates a lot. And I do agree that to me, the talent you play against is important, because if you're playing top-notch talent, I don't care what you say, it's harder for a guy to throw the ball against good corners and good safeties and teams that are playing well with a good pass rush than it is, like you said, Trey Lance. Some of those games, you look like a 15-year-old kid playing against 8-year-olds when he was running the ball.
Yeah, I agree with that because, Trey Lance has in that division, right, that he played in, North Dakota, most everybody's open, and you just throwing the ball.
Right.
In the NFL, when they're covered, they're open, and he has to learn that.
Right.
And that's where that reach comes in. When he's covered, he's open. That
Oh,
reach.
stop.
Right.
With that wingspan and the catch
Right.
radius, please. Oh, God in heaven, please. Oh, well, let's start. Next to me.
Hey, but hey, listen, Mark Bavaro had an amazing catch radius. He wasn't a fast guy, but he bullied everybody. And when his arms went up, you weren't going to get the ball away from him.
Mark Bavaro had great hands, and the Yankees get a big hit there with 2 outs, driving 2 runs. Great job by you can't see who the batter is at this point, but nice job the Yankees.
Who got the hit for them? The ball boy.
Well, man, it probably is. Listen, I think everything goes into it, and I understand it. Again, it just, and then you're going to get his his exit velocity off the line was, that's next.
Yeah,
that's going to be.
Hey,
next.
but Tommy, you know what you can compare this to?
What?
You know how offensive linemen and defensive linemen, when they say, like, you don't want the defensive lineman to get their hands in.
Yeah.
Like his reach, his length, his extension. Well, that's almost the same as a receiver. Like if a left tackle has short arms, the defensive lineman gets into him easier and can control him more. If he extends his arms out, because his arms are like fucking pterodactyl arms and real long, that guy's not going to be able to get into him. It's the same as the receiver. If his arms are long and he gets up there first and gets the ball, that's it. Game over. The other guy's not going to be able to get to that ball. You still got to get yourself in a position to catch the ball, and even with long arms, you still got to catch the ball. So, yeah. I didn't get a chance to do it. I wanted to do it today, and I forgot to do it. I got home a little bit late. I wanted to see how many drops he had during his career. I want to see if they gave you that stat. That would tell me 0.
Yeah, I'm not buying that. But right. You can keep wishing for that. I hope the Cowboys draft. I swear, I hope the Cowboys draft. So next year, we're going to go, all right. I admit he sucks. All right, but we'll get to that. So right now, guys, we went through Miami. We got different opinions on what players. Detroit Lions, I think they take a receiver. I think it's going to be Smith. I think that's going to be left, but I think it's a receiver.
Same thing. Smith, the Waddle Love is left. Yep.
Yeah, Matt, you see anything different there?
No, not really, dude.
Yeah, I think it's I think it gets interesting now at Carolina. Now Carolina can go quarterback. I don't think they're sold that they have their franchise quarterback on their team. They can go wide out, tight end.
I think Carolina thinks they got their quarterback of the future.
You think so?
I think so. Why would you give up so many picks? That's another team that needs a lot of help too. They gave up a lot of picks to get him.
I think Detroit
necessarily premium picks, but
I think Detroit takes Penei Sewell if the Bengals don't. You got an immobile quarterback. And you got a guy like that slides down. I don't know.
That's a good point. I think Detroit grabs that lineman too. If you're giving Cincinnati a wide receiver, I think Detroit shores up that line as well.
Yep,
it could. Listen, anything's possible in that spot. I happen to think they go receiver. I think Carolina. I think to me is a team that could go quarterback. I don't think so. I have Justin Fields penciled in there because I think, but I think it's a quarterback that falls into that spot. But you're right. It could give me that spot. They can go Parsons. They can go a lot of places with Carolina. They could go Rashawn. They could go Rashawn Slater at that point. They can use a tackle there.
Yep.
There's a lot of help that they need there.
Yep.
The Broncos are the next interesting team. Do they take a quarterback? Listen, Mac Jones is still on the board. Could Mac Jones fall to one of those? Could Carolina, Jeff, take Mac Jones in that spot? Maybe that's the guy. Don't forget, there's a little bit of a history with Matt Rule and Saban and that whole crowd. Could he fall there?
it's possible.
Yeah,
it's possible. I don't think he's going to get past San Francisco, though. I think that's where he's going to end up.
You think he's going to wind up there?
I think so.
Yeah, I got him. I think he gets past it. I don't believe. I think they're going to take Fields. I think ultimately, and I think the Niners take Fields, and I think he falls as far down Mac Jones as the Patriots. I think he goes. I think he lands in the Patriots.
No way. If Mac Jones is available at 9, the Broncos are taking the quarterback.
You think that's where he stops?
Absolutely. Drew Lock was the 33rd rated quarterback in the NFL. Yeah, you don't have to say any more. There's only 32 teams, and he was ranked 33rd. The backup quarterback was better than him for Washington.
Parsons is another pick for the Broncos. I mean, listen, I think Denver's a team that could use a lot of help. There's a
Yeah,
lot.
because Von Miller's not coming back after this season.
Yeah, I mean, listen. See, the problem I have with Parsons to me plays like an outside linebacker who's a middle linebacker.
Right.
You know, that's the one thing. Every time you watch him, is another guy. Every time I see him making a big play, it's rushing the quarterback. You know, and he's on a blitz.
Well, he's a great blitzer. He gets through those little creases, man.
Agreed. And I got that, but do I want to live and die with my middle linebacker blitzing? To me, I wanted to.
Tommy, you guys haven't had that type of an impact linebacker seriously since Lawrence Taylor.
Listen, I'll tell you right now. I'll take another Blake Martinez guy. I'd take Collins or one of those kind of impact guys than I would Parsons. And again, nothing wrong with Parsons.
But I think Parsons has the ability to turn the tides of a game. I don't think Blake Martinez has that kind of ability.
Blake Martinez is a hell of a linebacker.
He's solid. He's consistent, but Parsons gives you that wow factor. He has that potential.
If he falls in, I'm going to root for him, but I'm hoping that he's not. I'm hoping that the dreaded Cowgirls pick him up right before us. That's what I'm. But I think Frank's right. The Broncos are the wild card. If there's a quarterback there, they may take it. I don't know which one they. I think the one thing we never talked about is I think Trey Lance is the one guy who could fall very far in this draft. I don't
know about that, man.
Well, think about it, Jeff. If you don't take him at 3, with the Niners, he's going to fall through that crowd. So
somebody will trade up to get him.
Well, yeah,
somebody will trade up to grab him.
I'm just saying. Listen, I never like to deal in trades because you never know. So I'm going to go. I only try to go by what I see here on the board in front of me.
Redskins and the Bears are the most two likely teams to trade up if he starts to fall.
Okay, so so now the Redskins and Bears are right now at 19 and 20.
Yep.
Yeah.
Again, so Trey Lance, if he falls past San Francisco, which I think is a guarantee, you're right. I think Jeff is right. It's Mac Jones or Justin Fields. I think he falls way down. Now, could he stop in New England? That's a possibility.
I'll tell you, I think Justin Fields falls further down than Trey Lance.
No way.
I'm not sure.
I say the same thing with the Broncos that I said with Mac Jones. If Fields is there at 9, the Broncos are going to take a quarterback.
Do you guys watch the NFL Network? I'm sure you do, right?
Yeah.
Every day.
NFL Network
24/7 every day.
The only person who they make commercials hyping up on that channel is Trey Lance. With the kid,
because he's the most unknown. He's the most unknown. He's the most intriguing.
I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, it's a kid from Buffalo making the commercials, making the comparison to him, to himself.
Listen, if Fields drops lower than him, I'm going to personally call Dallas and tell him to re-sign Danny Cannell.
Easy on Danny Cannell. I like Danny Cannell in college. He was not a hell of a pro player, but he was. But listen, I think it's the opposite. I think Trey Lance is going to fall far. I think teams are leery. He doesn't have he doesn't have a great resume, and I think if you watch his tape,
it's not about the resume. I think it's how everybody is trying to fucking sell this kid that he's the next greatest thing since sliced bread. Yeah. That somebody is going to say, like, we got to take him, because what happens if we don't take him? We're going to be snake bit for the next 100 years.
Quarterbacks are always overhyped and drafted a lot higher than they really deserve to be.
All right, so we're all different. Who's the guy, in your opinion, Jeff? Who's the quarterback who falls out of 10? Is it Mac Jones? Is it Trey Lance, or is it Justin Fields? I want it on record.
I think it's going to be Justin Fields.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. I think Justin Fields is overrated. I think it's the same old hype. He's an Ohio State quarterback, and everybody falls in love with him. Frank, who's the quarterback who falls out of 10?
Out of 10,
yeah,
would be Lance to me, because
now this is barring anybody trading up. Obviously, I'm not talking about people trading up. I'm just talking about as it is. So Lance
would be the guy.
Matt,
this is a tough one.
I like to ask some tough questions, Matt. This is not some CNN broadcast where they get your marshmallows from Joe Biden. I like to ask the tough questions.
I think it's going to be Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think Trey.
I tell you, if he gets to 9, I think Denver's going to have a hard time passing him up.
I agree. If he gets to 9, that's my line right there. If he gets to 9, I can't see Denver passing up.
Let's put it this way. Hold on, guys. If we're all assuming that Mac Jones is going to wind up in Frisco at number 3, all right? That's where we're going to wind up. when you get to 9, theoretically, in my opinion, looking at the draft board without changing, Fields and Jones and Trey Lance are going to be on the board at 9.
Right. They could both
The Broncos will be getting phone calls from everybody
I'm not
because
disagreeing, but somebody at that point, you got the Cowboys, the Giants. So he's falling out of 10. So if they get 2 guys there, one of those 2 guys is going to fall out of 10. Question.
I'm telling you, my feeling is you're going to have quarterback go 1, 2, 3, and 4 or 5. Whoever those teams back there can talk out of getting out of 4 or 5 to get Fields. That's what's going to happen.
listen, if that happens, like if people are going to start calling the Cowboys at 10, the Giants at 11, and I think it would take a lot of balls for the Cowboys or the Giants to fall from 10 and 11 spot down to 20. You're going to lose a real big time blue chip player at that point.
Well,
and then
if you're the Giants and you could go from 11 to 15 with a trade for the New England Patriots and jump up to
I would
11.
do it. I would do it if they get a first round pick next year from New England. I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Oh yeah, that I would do.
Yeah,
because I think New England. I think New England's fucking overhyped. I do. I can't stand Cam Newton. His all of his his footwork, everything went to shit last year. And everyone look at the Patriots like the Eagles signed all those players that one year, all these superstar players. They tanked. And the Patriots, look at who they signed. Jonnu Smith, totally underrated but never productive with the Titans. Hunter Henry, talented, always hurt. They're getting a couple guys back, but like you said, they took a whole year off.
I agree.
And they're coming back now. Okay, so now, I mean, Nelson Aguilar, I'm actually shocked the Raiders let him go. That guy was a big play machine for them last year.
He was.
Right.
But you have Cam Newton throwing him the ball.
Well,
inaccurate downfield thrower.
Yeah, I agree. But
so I honestly, I would not be surprised if that battle, for last place, this might shock you guys, but I think the Jets have a shot to beat the Patriots in that division. I really do.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Well, I mean, Jeff, so now, Jeff, if you're New England, and I think we both were shocked that they re-signed Cam Newton after last year.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
So if one of those 2 guys is sitting there at 9 with the Broncos, like Frank Catalano's talking about, trading down, or at the Cowboys or the Giants, I could see New England try to jump up there to grab a hold.
What was New England's alternative, though? Who are they going to sign if they didn't go out? If they didn't keep Cam Newton, who was out there? Nobody.
But Cam Newton. Why would you want Cam Newton? I mean, come on.
Would you rather have Trubisky or the guy or what's his face? The guy who backed up the Cowboys last year. I mean, these guys are all old, washed up dudes with. I don't know. I don't like Cam Newton either, but.
You got one of the most washed up ones in the league with Cam Newton. Why the fuck?
But he gives them something. He gives them more diversity.
Diversity, so he could run the ball. So now they don't even have to cover.
That's why they tried to surround him with all these talented players because they have to expand the playbook. But I don't know. I just don't think there was much of a choice.
What they should have won after is Jacoby Barrett who went with the Dolphins.
So Jacoby Brissett, but yeah,
Brissett. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I still think
I was glad the Dolphins grabbed him.
I think they have.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you guys this because you're sticking up for Cam Newton, and that's fine. But you're Bill Belichick. How many more years is this guy going to coach? And do you actually think that he's going to fucking get it done with Cam Newton?
No,
that's my question.
They're setting up for the next regime.
No.
But I think that's why I think
setting things up for his son.
I think the guy that they're going to try to go after, if they haven't already, is going to be Garoppolo. Not that I'm in love with Garoppolo, but I think
he stinks too.
I agree with you, Matt. But of the bunch that's left over, he may be the best of the bad bunch. I'm not sure. But who else is there? Dalton went to Chicago. He's terrible anyway. Why would you want Trubisky's gone? Who's sitting out there that you'd even want to attempt to get? That's the point. So to me, if you're going to get a guy who's at least pro ready and can play, maybe they feel in his system, in that system, he can succeed. I'm not a huge fan of Garoppolo. I thought he was overrated, got too much money, but so did Kirk Cousins. So did a lot of guys.
Right.
We'll see. But I think that's the interesting spot. When you get to 9 and 2 quarterbacks are on the board, I think the phones are going to be buzzing all down the next 3-4 picks.
I really do believe you're going to get, like I said, Atlanta and Cincinnati. Whoever has the nerve to drop down, there's going to be teams attacking those two spots to try and get whoever falls out after 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I don't even get you 3. I think you're right. I'm sorry, Lawrence, Wilson are going to go, and then one of the 3 remaining guys are going to go.
Whoever it is, Fields or Jones, that goes to San Francisco. Whoever you love there.
Yeah.
There's going to be a flood of phone calls for Atlanta and Cincinnati to try and grab that.
The problem I have with that is I think that's way too high to go up and grab those 2 guys. I think because I don't think they go anywhere. I don't think anybody's taking.
Yeah, but Tom, in today's NFL, they put such a premium on the quarterback.
Exactly.
They're going to worry that they're going to miss out on something. They'll
And
give up,
and
the shit they'll give up to get there is unbelievable.
And they have a lot of picks in this draft.
No, I agree. I think I do believe it's New England that's going to try to trade up today to get one of those. I think New England wants Jones. I think all that hype of them shaking their head and all of that, the pro day, I think it's all bullshit. I think that Saban sold Belichick on him, and he's going to do whatever he can to get there.
Yeah,
I Fields. New England's going to go get Jones.
It's possible.
Yeah. It's possible. I could see him playing in New England. You just hope that with all the hype, you hope that he's not another Christian Ponder.
Well, listen, and I'll say I said it about Ohio State quarterbacks. I'll say the same thing about Alabama quarterbacks. Give me the last Alabama quarterback that came out that made a big difference in the pros. It doesn't happen.
Joe Namath.
And look at Joe Namath's stats. You want to look at stats? Go look at Joe Namath's stats. Joe Namath's famous for one game. So
yeah, but it was Joe Namath was for his time that he played. He was tough. He was a gamer, and you love to have him on your team.
Joe Namath's always going to hold a special place in the NFL because of Super Bowl III.
Sure,
Joe Willie, the white shoes, the fur coats. I get it, but let's be honest. I mean, Kenny Stabler was probably the last great NFL quarterback that came out of Alabama.
Evel
Knievel. Yeah, he played next to Cliff Stout and Bubby Brister.
Hey, man, give me Danny White, man. Give me Danny White.
Danny White. Hey, let me ask you guys one last question before I let you guys go. The NFL now is changing the numbers. Now they're making it.
I don't care about that.
One thing I heard today that actually made me think about, like, first I said thing as you. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But Tom Brady said something today that I thought was actually an interesting take on it. Did either one of you guys see it?
No.
Tom Brady said, I know you want to do this and all that. He said, but if you're an offensive lineman and you guys are lining up, how do you know who to go block?
That's true.
How do you know who to go block? How do you know who's the corner, who's the safety, who's the
hit the guy with the guy with the other colored jersey?
But, for the most part, a guy wearing a 50s number is going to be a linebacker. So if you're and you're trying to cut and turn in the linebacker, that's the one.
That's why they did it for so many years, like you said, T. Especially, and like I told you, Tommy, when I first heard they wanted to do this, offensive lineman. Can you imagine an offensive lineman having 88? How do you know if he's an eligible receiver or not?
What if you get a tight end wearing number 67? I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it confuses it a little bit. I'm not saying that you're not going to get, you're not going to, obviously you're going to notice the offensive lineman out there if he's wearing number 81. I mean, I get that a little bit, but I think it's an interesting take. I didn't say I agree with it totally, but I think it's interesting. I don't like it, to be honest with you.
I think they'll pick it up when they're watching film, and they'll also pick it up when the quarterback points out, the mic or the,
I agree
like that.
So. But again, when you're in the heat of a game and you're turning that corner and you're supposed to be getting the inside linebacker, and all of a sudden there's a guy standing there wearing 2, you're going, is that the safety? You're going to block the guy in front of you. I get it, but it is a little confusing out there.
Did the punter come out to play there?
Yeah, and I think even more so on the eligible receivers. I think if you're a defensive back in the heat of a game and you see this big guy run out there at 81, you're going to cover and you go, oh, that's a lineman. It's not a tight end.
Yeah. Back in the day, you would have thought Reggie Roby was a friggin' linebacker.
Exactly right. So, but listen, guys, it's a lot of fun. I so thank you guys for an hour and a half. You guys staying on with me and Jeff. It's a blast. And we'll
thanks, because now I'm not going to get any tonight because my girlfriend's pissed.
You weren't getting any anyway. Who are you kidding?
Yeah.
Who are you kidding? You have as much chance of getting some from Jeff at this point.
Yeah, join the club. I'm going home alone tonight too. So
See, this was before the show. This is now after the show.
Don't worry. Tell you're a star on TV now. Everybody knows who you are.
That's right.
I can't watching you on a 75-inch TV right now. So
I'll talk to you guys Thursday night.
we'll see you Thursday night, pal. Get some
Later.
rest.
See you Thursday night, guys.
All right,
Later.
Frank.
See you later.
Oh, hey, I listen. I gotta tell you a joke real quick.
Oh no, here we go. What?
Uh-oh.
Cowboys going to the Super Bowl?
No. Hold on a second.
Always got to think about
I gotta remember. Make
Oh,
sure I
my
tell it
God.
right.
Getting old.
Oh, what's the difference between a Bud Light and a Clitoris?
No idea.
No idea.
The Bud Light only tastes like piss for 30 seconds.
God, folks, we'll end the NFL draft segment for 2021. We thank Matt Salitri for his joke and his commentary. Frank, we love you, Frank. Frankie, we'll talk during the week, and I'll see you next Thursday. But
You got it, brother. Take
not
care,
as good
guys.
to get together.
Jeff, can't wait till you come down to Florida, bro. Good night, guys.
When are you
Later.
going down there? I'm going down May 18th.
I will be coming home that day.
Oh shit.
I'm coming home. I'm staying in Tampa. I'm going to be there from the 14th to the 18th or the 17th. I'm not sure which.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So I'll see Frankie. Frankie, when you come up, we'll have dinner. I want to see you and your wife.
absolutely, absolutely.
All right, maybe we'll get all together. You got it, guys.
All
Go
right.
get some rest. I'll talk to you during the week. I'll see you guys next Thursday night. Hopefully, we'll do a little of this next week.
All right, peace out, guys.
All right, boys. Take
See
care.
you guys later, man.
That was a pretty good segment, Jeff. We had a lot of fun with that one, as always. Hey, Jeff, let me ask you about the numbers thing. Did you read into that? The NFL letting the guys
I
pick
read
their own
it,
numbers?
and I think that it's being overanalyzed. If you're, I mean, this is the thing I don't understand. If you're pegging out people's positions by the number that they're wearing,
Yes.
and you have that kind of time to know, okay, this guy's over here and this is the number, then that's amazing. You must be amazing at math or an amazing account or something. To me, if you know that the guy is lined up all the way in the back, well, he must be the safety. If the guy's lined up in front of the fucking wide receiver, he must be the cornerback. You know, if the same thing as if you're on the defensive side of the ball, there's going to be 5 guys in front of you, 2 tackles, 2 guards, 1 center. You got to figure it out who's who. You know what I mean? The wide receivers. I mean, maybe it's going to be a little confusing on certain levels.
Mhm.
But I think that, you know, who gives a fuck if the running back is number 99? I think it makes, personally, I think it makes the game seem too much like college.
Yeah.
The way
I
that the
agree.
college football players, I noticed their numbers. But, I mean, I don't understand why the point is of moving it around. It's just kind of stupid.
Well,
It's kind of almost traditional at this point in time that a quarterback.
I agree. I don't. I have a big problem with that, but I do think it does present a little. Like, think about this, Jeff. So you're in the middle of a game. In the pros, again, there is some recognition to it. So in the pros, receivers usually wear numbers in the 80s. Okay, you get the occasional guy who I think has a 15 or a 17 number, but he's a hands guy or a guy who can catch the ball when they have those kind of numbers. But when you're in the middle of a play and a guy's running out, you don't know if he's blocking or catching a pass or whether to cover him or not if he's wearing number 33. You know, you're thinking he's a running back, but he could be an offensive lineman wearing 33. I think anybody can do it. And here's the kicker part of this. So if you want to change your number this year, you have to buy all your jerseys out there that have your number or your old number on it as a player.
What do you mean buy all your jerseys?
So if there's 1,000 jerseys out there with your number on it, before you can change it, you have to purchase all the old jerseys with your number on it.
From who? From the
NFL,
fans?
yeah. From the NFL.
That should be their problem, no?
Well, that's part of the rule. They said you could change it next year, no problem. But if you change it this year and you go
Just for this year. Just for this year.
Correct. So after this year, yes, you change your number. I don't know if they let you change your number every year. I don't know how that would work. But if you have a jersey this year with your name on it with a number and you change that number, you have to pay the NFL for that jersey.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Pertaining to the numbers, okay? Let's just say that you had the chance to become a professional football player right now. Right now, you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be on the team of your choice, and I'll ask you, what position do you want to play?
Ooh, okay. Oh, you want the answer right now?
Yes, I need the answer right now.
I would like to play fullback.
Fullback. Okay, so a good fullback number for you may be what? Number 26, 28?
Yeah, something that way, 30, 34, 30, 33. Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay, so you, right off the bat, you would probably take a traditional fullback number, wouldn't you?
I would definitely do that, yes.
Okay. If I was to play professional sports, regardless of the sport, I would not take my birth month, which would be 7.
Okay.
I would not take my birthday, which is 10. I would prefer to take my birth year, which would be 66.
Okay.
But if I was playing, now a lot of hockey players go into higher numbers. I remember from when I was watching hockey.
88s and 99s.
Yeah. Baseball, they were getting up there. But football, you would be kind of limited because you would have to be an offensive lineman. I wouldn't want to be an offensive lineman. I would want to be a defensive lineman, even though I'm way too small to ever be a defensive lineman.
Oh,
you know, at my size, the best thing I could do is be an assistant coach. You know what I mean?
We're both in the same category, my friend.
No, but I mean, so like I would want to be 66, but right off the bat, because of watching football for all these years, even if they allowed it, it would just be like, you know what, I can't be 66. That's like an offensive lineman's number. Offensive lineman is kind of I always thought of it as a boring kind of position, like with no recognition for what you do. And meanwhile, the play starts and ends with you. If you fuck up, that's it. It's over. If you do your job 100% right, chances are you're going to make the play succeed. So me personally, I would have to go with a different number regardless. You know, I wouldn't be able to take 66.
So you want something that doesn't link you to where you should be. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I would have to say that I would want a number in the 90s.
Okay. Well, because you're playing that position, which I wonder. I think, yeah, as a defensive lineman, you can wear a number in the 90s. You know, 99, like you hear with Mark Gastineau, and yeah. So I mean,
93 was Marty Lyons.
Yep, 90 JPP. Yeah, so yeah, I can see your point. Like as a defensive lineman, do you want to wear 33? I think, like you said, it gets to be very collegey. You know, it gets very collegiate when you're wearing when you're a linebacker wearing number 1, or you're in that position. So
I think single numbers should be held for fucking punters, holders, and place kickers.
I agree. It's going to be interesting. We'll see. I don't think it's a big deal, but I think there's a couple instances in the game where it could affect, at least in the beginning. Maybe later on, it gets to be normal.
I think at NFL speed, if at NFL speed, if you're letting the number on the guy in front of you dictate what you're going to do, then I don't think that you should even be in the fucking league.
No, I agree with you. Hard Rock and Sports, Jeff and Tom talking sports. About to switch to a little music topic, a couple of music topics maybe. We'll get back to some football before we close out the show. Remember, Thursday night we'll get back together with our friends, and we'll do what we do every year lately is the NFL Draft Show. We'll be doing this live right on the air. Either we'll be watching it on TV and commenting, and if I can get it on a live stream where Jeff and I can watch it as it happens, stick with us and do us a favor. Shut the volume off on the TV, tune us in, and get our unique analysis like we do every week. So, hey Jeff, Kiss. I know you're not the hugest Kiss fan, but Kiss. There was announced that Netflix is going to be doing a biopic on the band, and I think it's interesting. I think Kiss is one of those bands. I said it when we talked about it with Queen and Elton John. I think that a band that could be done have their own biopic would be Kiss. I think it'd be interesting. Their first few years were extremely interesting. The turmoil in the band lends to a lot of good TV. What's your thought on Kiss having their own biopic?
Oh man, you know what, Tom? There's been so much that Kiss has been part of. You got to think: is it just another way for Gene to make more money?
I don't know if they're involved that way. I don't know if this is their biopic. I don't know. I don't know how this is working. That's a great question. I didn't check.
I'm sure if it's about him and they're saying his name in it, he's going to be making money on it.
You know what? It's hard to argue that. I would guess they have to be somewhat involved in it. My question would be though is, do they bring in the original guys all gonna? Not that they're going to be on screen because I'm sure they're going to have actors playing them, but Did they get a little something from the Paul and from Peter and Ace? And how do they portray those guys? I think I'm obviously a Kiss fan, so I'll watch it, but I'm curious to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it would be interesting on some levels, but listen, I mean, there's been so much that's been said about them already. What could they let us know that we don't already know?
I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know. That's a really good question. Here's the thing. I mean, even a lot of what we saw in the Motley Crue, The Dirt, it was in the book. I don't know if anybody. I think it's just a matter of taking it and putting it on the screen. A lot of people don't read the book. I would be curious, especially for the Kiss end of it, a little bit on the behind the scenes stuff. Like, how did it all go down? I've read the books. I've heard what each guy has said about it. But I'd like to see how the band got together, some of those early years, like how did they design on the makeup? How did that all come together? Seeing that on the screen, I think would be nice. And I think Kiss is a very visual band. So I think that their biopic would have to have a lot of concert footage and stuff like that.
Well, it's possible. I mean, it would be kind of interesting to see that and know the time that they did get together, which was what, late 60s, early 70s when they started to play?
70,
probably close to the early 70s.
73, I think, is when they got, I think the first album was 74, 75. But I think it's 73 is when they got together.
Something like that. So, you got to think in New York at the time from what we remember as kids, there was a lot going on, and New York was in a bad way at that point in time, and it was kind of coming out of some bullshit. So it would be something to see how that all worked out, and how they got together. Yeah, there was a lot of the music industry scene back then. Shouldn't say industry, music scene. When you think of some of the bands that were coming out at that time, Kiss, Blondie, Talking Heads, it was a lot going on in New York, music wise.
Sure.
So it would kind of be interesting.
Yeah, I think there's been 74 first record. Thank you, Frank. Yeah, great stuff. The first 3 albums, man, great. But yeah, I think Kiss is one of those bands, and again, we tried to talk about it before. How many of the hard rock and metal bands could get a biopic that you would pay attention to? I think the Queen one was an interesting one for me because Queen doesn't have the biggest name in the world, and I think that went over really well. The Elton John one, which I didn't really care for, but he's a huge name. The Motley Crue one I thought was a waste, but I think it did pretty well for Netflix. So I'm assuming that the Kiss one should, just for the fan base, will do well. Is there anybody else out there? I struggled with it today to think about. Is there anybody else that you could see based on the band itself and their legacy getting a biopic done? And I'm talking about in the hard rock and metal world.
Ozzy.
Ozzy or Ozzy and Sabbath?
Ozzy, just strictly Ozzy. I mean, touch base on his life through Sabbath, but like mostly him fucking up with drugs and alcohol, and then
the whole Blizzard of Oz era.
Coming back and to what he was and where he was to where he became and where he ended. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah. See, I think the Motley Crue one was a stretch. I don't think it was a bad movie. Like my son watched it and liked it, and he's not a Motley Crue fan at all. Aerosmith, that's not a bad one. That's not a bad one. That's not too bad. I don't know. They got a pretty good name. That's not a bad one, Jeff.
No, it's not. It's
good one.
A lot, but see, a lot has been known. A lot is known about Aerosmith and their documented drug troubles and Joe Perry leaving and everything else. So there's a lot going on there. But a lot of these bands. What news could you give us on a band that's 40, 50 years old?
I think that's true. I think that's a good point. I think the point is, what can you learn from the biopic that you didn't know before? Now, maybe there's some behind-the-scenes stuff, especially if the bands are involved. Maybe they give you a little bit of juicy tidbits. I mean, I think the Queen one was interesting because they kind of played around with it a little bit. The whole, Freddie getting the announcement about Freddie getting AIDS, which they kind of played with it. I thought that was interesting. The Motley Crue one, to me, there was nothing interesting other than the band was just pure debauchery. So I don't know what you got out of that one, but it was an interesting movie. Not one I'd watch again. But I think it's tough to find a band that you would. I think the key is, can you find a band that people would want to watch and that aren't fans of the band? And that's
Well, how about this? Is there anything at all that any of these bands could bring to the table that would capture people's attentions to make a 2-hour movie that you want to sit through?
Yeah.
You know, a band like Metallica, or, you know, or modern heavy metal band, Priest, maybe Priest. Iron Maiden, I don't see it. Deep Purple, Rainbow.
Pantera would be one. I think Pantera would be an interesting one.
It might be interesting. No, it wouldn't be. No. I've seen a couple. Pantera had a couple different videos out in the early to mid 90s. And I mean, I like Pantera, but they were basically, you know, just white trash fucking Southern rebels, you know, living exactly what you would think they would do, you know, drinking and getting stoned all day and playing at night and doing the same thing tomorrow. Yeah. You know, and then they ended up having their problems, broke up, and, you know, guys got killed and died, and that was it.
Yeah, I think in the age of the internet, it becomes very difficult to do something that you educate people on. I'm not saying you're going to get an education, but you know, you everybody knows everything. Wikipedia has, you know, eliminated a lot of that stuff, and I think.
Yeah, but Wikipedia sometimes gives you a line or two into something that maybe could be covered a different way. And I mean, Frank here says about the New York Dolls. There's a lot. David Johansen was part of the New York Dolls, and you know, that may be something that's a little interesting to hear about. But even at that, is their time come and gone? Because what do the New York Dolls get now? You know, they're not around as far as I know. I don't think. I think Lou Reed, Frank, maybe you can answer this first. Was Lou Reed in the New York Dolls? I believe he was. Oh, I know that. David Johansen was Staten Island native, by the way.
Huh?
Staten Island native, by the way.
Oh, really? Oh, yes, I do know that. Yes, I do know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Leonard. I appreciate the update. Yeah. So I figured that it's going to be basically Gene and Paul's take on it. And if you read the books I won't read Paul's book. I found it to be very smug, and I'm not a huge Paul Stanley fan, but I've read Gene's book, Peter's book, and Ace's book. And some of them tell very different tales.
Oh, Blackie Lawless was in the New York Dolls?
No, Blackie Lawless was a Staten Island guy.
Yeah, that I know, but I don't know the contact. I don't know. He might have been in on the Blackie Lawless is like in his 60s.
Oh, yeah.
60s, I believe. He's up there in age, so there's a chance that he spent some time in there.
I never heard
I don't know for sure.
That'd be interesting, boy. I never heard that one.
I don't know for sure. I know he's also another Staten Island.
Oh, so Frankie says he was in the New York Dolls. Wow.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting. I have to do a little research down in the New
York Dolls. Had to be near the tail end of them, right? Let's see if he gets back to us on that.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, Leonard, you're kind of a Kiss fan. Does that excite you, or do you feel like that's something you'll go out of your way to watch? A Netflix biopic on Kiss. Curious what everybody thinks about that.
Well,
I know Frank's a fan; he'll watch it. I know that. I'm going to watch it regardless because I'm grew up a Kiss fan. So to me, it's interesting. I'd like to get to see some of that behind the scenes stuff and get Gene and Paul's take and how wonderful they were and how great they are. But that's a whole other thing. Yeah, I Kiss is one of those things that they've a whole cottage industry based on them. They've done it bigger and better for longer than most. Tremendous story, but that I don't think their legacy will on the normal fan, the normal non-Kiss fan will be as great as it was early on. Their first few years, people expect them to be a certain way, and then they kind of turned cartoonish in most people's minds.
They did wear the makeup for a long, long time.
They still do. They still do.
They still do because it's the tail end of their career and everything else, and it's what's going to make them the most money. Do you want to see a 70-something-year-old Gene Simmons or close to 70-year-old Gene Simmons up there with no makeup on?
I'm not sure I want to see what the makeup. I will go to the last shows. I believe the last two shows are going to be New York and L.A. I will go to the one in New York if at all possible. I will pay for a ticket. I feel like I have to see their last concert. Although I saw them out of curiosity, I will watch it, but I have lost. I love to see Peter and Ace point of view. I agree, Leonard. If you read their books, Peter and Ace's book. Now, again, those are two guys with the most issues, so to speak. Their take on things from Gene's is way different. But yeah, I have to go see their last concert because it will be their last concert. So we'll see how that goes.
With Kiss basically losing a year, excuse me, a year plus of their final tour.
Yeah.
Do they add these shows onto the tail end?
That's what they're saying. They're saying they're going to pick it up and finish it. They're not going to, it seems like they're going to try to finish out whatever's left on their tour. Yeah, it sounds like they're going to try.
Whatever's left, or are they going to pick up from where they left off and continue on?
I think if I read it right, they're going to pick up from where they left off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I just hate Paul Stanley, Frank. I can't. I find him to be smug and arrogant. Every time he pops up on TV someplace or on YouTube, I got to run.
Have you seen the video of Paul Stanley singing "Ooh Child"?
Yes.
That to me is painful.
Yes, I lasted about 5 seconds. I had to see it because I want to see. I try to watch all that stuff, and I meant to bring it up on one of the past shows, but I got to tell you that was about as painful as anything.
Yeah, to me. I mean, that's all well and good. You're trying to show a diverse side to yourself and show that you maybe this was what got you going or whatever the case. To me, come on, that was rough, man. That was like some lesbian bookstore owner from the Midwest going up at karaoke night and after she had a stroke trying to sing that shit, man. That was bad.
You know what the problem I have with it, Jeff, is? Yeah. You know the problem I have with it is, he is famous now for being not a great singer anymore. So now to go out and try to
really a great singer when he was a good singer.
No, I think Paul Stanley had a really good voice back in the day. Obviously, he's 70 years old. He's not what he was. I get that, but
I understand. But I mean, when we used to say top 5 singers in the 70s and 80s,
no,
you've never seen his voice up there.
No. I'm not disagreeing with that. I don't put him anywhere near my top 10 probably. But what I'm saying is, at this point, to be going out there and obviously not be you whatever you're singing is being helped. I think it's a little difficult to buy into the fact that now you want to start singing all these different genres of music, and I'm supposed to take it seriously when I know you can't sing anymore.
Well, listen, I don't know if that's the case. If he wants us to take it seriously, I mean, without a doubt, he's definitely trying to see what is going to happen now. He has time, nothing but time right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know what his plans are once Kiss is over. Is he going to try to continue to tour his Kiss material? Is he just going to fade off into the sunset, or is he going to do stuff like this? This is the perfect thing for him to do. Every once in a while, throw out a video, maybe get different singers and backgrounders, for whatever, and just. I want to do "Smoke on the Water" from Deep Purple. I always wanted to sing it. Never got the chance in Kiss. You don't know.
I agree with that. I think that's a perfect opportunity, but I shudder to think that at some point in some lounge somewhere, Paul Stanley's going to be doing a short tour, singing, "Ooh Child." Just painful.
Please. I came across it on Facebook by accident. And I'm almost like hoping my phone is listening because then it'll play it later. I'll come across it later on. But it came out of nowhere one day and I was like, what the fuck is this? Paul Stanley. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, his face looks so fucking fake.
Oh, yeah.
He looks like Mickey Rourke, with his hair dyed black. He's just terrible looking.
It is true. It is
Paul McCartney, you say Paul McCartney can't sing. But Paul McCartney is in his fucking 80s.
Yeah, he's 80. I think he's 80 or 82 at this point.
I mean, come on. The guy, he shouldn't be able to sing.
Leonard, you're going to be doing a world tour at least of Staten Island soon. We can't wait to see you. I hope the new project's going well. I can't wait to hear it. So looking forward to hearing it, Leonard. We're going to do one more thing.
One real quick. We want to wish a speedy recovery to Chris Salazar, sports band drummer. Every time that we get going, something happens, and now this guy is getting. So we'll have to tell him to watch this. That we mentioned him, but he's getting some risque surgery done. I don't want to say that it's from a risque thing in life. But Chris, it doesn't look good for you, my friend. We're gonna ride you on this one, bro.
Yes, that's right. I will tell you, you're going to get when we do get back to practice, it's going to be a little rough on you. But that's okay. Hopefully, we'll get there. Hopefully, we'll get there sooner or later. I was excited to get started. I got to be honest with you. I was looking forward to getting back out there playing.
Yeah, listen, definitely, without a doubt, I would love to, get going again and everything. It's places are starting to open. I'm actually playing Sunday.
Yes,
with the band and the Cornell tribute Soundslave. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yep.
And that's going to be a little bit of a wing and a prayer.
Saturday night card game at Joey's house. We're looking forward to that this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Yeah, so
there's some shit that I want to buy, so I got to fucking clean you motherfuckers out.
Listen, you have to bring cash, no checks allowed this time for you.
No problem, dude. No one walked away. I needed an armed guard last time.
Yes, I would say that was an interesting night to say. That was 2 years ago or better.
Yeah, that was Joey bugging out over the what was it about Freddie Mercury, was it?
The guy who was imitating Freddie Mercury was
better than Freddie Mercury.
That was still great. I don't think for a second I'm not bringing that up, by the way.
Listen, I bring it up at the right time, so maybe he'll have a meltdown again. I don't know.
Absolutely. Last one for me, Jeff, real quick. I want to do this before we call it a night. And guys, I hope I'm glad everybody hung with us. It's been a lot of fun doing this show, and we're going to be back next Thursday night. Ross the Boss from Man of War, the Dictators will be on in a couple of weeks, maybe next week, probably a couple of weeks from now. Next week we'll be on doing the draft show, and lots of great shows coming up in the future. But stick with us. I'm going to share something with you, Jeff, and then we're going to talk about it quick, and then we'll call it a night.
Okie dokie.
Okay, and this would be the card where Hogan beat the Iron Sheik. And I thought it was interesting because I want to go over the undercard on this a little bit. Now, we all know the history of the Iron Sheik losing to Hogan. He dropped the belt to him. We watched the documentary. But look at the undercard's pretty cool if you think about it. Now, here's the first one's interesting to me. You got Andre, Rocky Johnson, and Tony Atlas. That's a hell of a lineup right there.
I think I've seen them. I think I saw them tag up one time before in the past. That sounds familiar, that lineup. Not that match. I'm not saying I saw that match, but Andre, Rocky Johnson, and Tony Atlas. Good night, Leonard.
Hey, Katie, how you doing? Katie popping in. Katie Barnett popping in. Somebody's joined us a couple weeks back with the boys from So High. But you know what? The interesting part of that is I had never heard the Samoans by their last name before. Have you ever saw that? Afa Anoy, Sika Anoy, and Samu. I didn't know they even had last names.
No. I kind of figured their birth certificates were written on some fucking coconut shells or something and thrown in the garbage. It doesn't surprise me.
No?
But no, definitely not. Especially after joining some of these wrestling pages on Facebook. Yeah. I saw one. I don't know if I sent it to you. I don't think I did. But it was a picture of Hulk Hogan, Mr. Fuji, a whole bunch of others. And it was like, why are these people all together? This is not supposed to be. And they're all happy to be with one another.
Yeah.
It was like these people on this card would be kicking the shit out of one another. And it's like, you realize when you see stuff like that, completely ruins the allure of what wrestling was at that time.
Wait. I wanted to play it, but I was afraid. The last time I played a WWF video, the show was not shown on YouTube. YouTube wiped us out for copyright infringement. So I was afraid to play it, but I wanted to play the video of the Ultimate Warrior and Shawn Michaels and whoever else was in that video duct taping or taping themselves up.
Marty Jannetty and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Okay. That had to be the absolute craziest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It might be.
Listen, they were probably all lit out of their fucking skulls on coke.
100%. But now, real quick on the card, Morocco Tito Santana, great match. Putski and Slaughter, great match. The Masked Superstar versus Jay Strongbow. Why wasn't it Chief Jay Strongbow? That's the first part I got to ask.
Well, never mind that. I remember watching when I first started watching wrestling. Chief Jay Strongbow looked like he was 110 years old.
Yes.
Now at this point in time, he is 110 years old and he's still wrestling.
Yes, that's a great point.
Okay, never mind the chief. I mean, or maybe he's a retired Indian by now. He can't be called chief.
Yes, he might have retired chief. I'm not sure. Snooker versus Iron Mike Sharp. My Iron Mike Sharp was a jobber that I didn't realize was a jobber at the time. But look how far down on the card that is. That's amazing that Snooker fell that far that fast.
Well, yeah, very true. And I remember Iron Mike Sharp having a short run.
Yes, he did.
Back in the 80s. Very short run. I mean, maybe out of respect, they gave him the run. I don't know. But I remember him having a run.
Next one, Orndorff versus Salvatore Bellomo. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time.
Salvatore Bellomo, yes.
Tony Gurria was still around in 83. I didn't realize Tony was still around fighting Jose Luis Rivera, who I don't remember.
I remember Jose Luis Rivera. I don't remember what he looks like. I remember the name. But I also remember Tony Gurria was going out with a woman that lived in the projects.
Yeah, South Beach.
South Beach.
Yes.
And I ended up hanging out with that woman's daughter.
Come on, seriously.
Yeah, her name was Faith. Do you remember Faith? I don't want to say her last name on the air.
I don't.
She was friends with Stacy, another Rosebank girl.
Okay, I was not a big into that crowd. So
and her mom, that girl's Faith's mom, was going out with Tony Gurria for a while.
Really?
Yeah, and I always remember Tony Gurria. He always looked like he was going to fall forward. He kind of leaned forward. He kind of had that look like, it was his head was kind of.
Who was his tag team partner in the 70s?
Oh man!
Come on, Jeff!
Holy shit! Jeff. I don't know who.
Gotta know it. I know who it is.
I know you know who it is. I know who it is too. I just can't remember.
Larry Zbyszko.
Was it Jumping Jim Brunzel?
No, Larry Zbyszko.
Who was it afterwards?
Oh, that's a question. Now you got me on that.
In the 80s. In the 80s.
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh man, I can't remember. I know that when I seen him, he was a tag teamer.
I have to look that up now. The most interesting match, maybe the very, very last match. Why this match was not. He's dead, Strongbow. Yes, Frankie is dead, Strongbow. The last match would be the one I would like to see more, even so than the Iron Sheik and Hogan. The Haiti Kid and Tiger Jackson versus Poncho Boy and Dana Carpenter.
Oh my God!
Midget tag team match. I don't ever remember watching a midget tag team match.
I've seen a couple.
Oh, I've never seen it. I will absolutely, positively be checking that out tonight when we get off the air. I will find that someplace and watch the midget tag team match. Because the only time I ever saw 4 midgets in the ring was when they used to fight Andre. It would be in the handicap match. It'd be 4 midgets or 5 midgets versus Andre, and he'd be crawling on like ants.
Yeah, he would destroy them. They stood no chance.
He'd be throwing them up. And I remember one time he piled them all up and sat on them.
Yeah. Could you imagine a poor bastard on the bottom?
Oh my God!
And after hearing some of the stories about fucking Andre, you know that he blasted out on that pile of midgets, man.
No doubt. I actually think Andre's blast could wipe out a midget. I think it's possible. I think from the trajectory of it, think about it, where Andre's ass is and where that guy's head is. I think. Oh
man, the poor midget. Oh my God.
Hey, by the way, every Tuesday night now on A&E, they have a 8-part series on wrestling. Last week was Stone Cold Steve Austin. They did an Andre thing, but that wasn't really part of it. But every Tuesday night they do one. They have the Ultimate Warrior. Trying to think who else is there. There's 8 different episodes. I think they're 2 hours long each. A&E every Tuesday night. You got to try to keep up with it. So we can talk.
I'll have to remember to check it out. But I'll tell you the truth. You know what? I've lost a lot of. First of all, I got to meet Stone Cold Steve Austin in an autograph signing, and he was a bit of a dick when I met him.
Okay.
And, long story short, after reading more about him, it seemed as though he was pretty much a dick. Beat up his wife a couple times.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He wasn't exactly a solid citizen, man. Look him up on Wikipedia.
I will.
And when he was married to this chick, Deborah, he tuned her up a few times, which. How much could she have weighed? 110 pounds, 115 pounds. And it was Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was a pretty fucking big dude, man, slapping the shit out of her. But
yeah, listen, again, I'm not a big fan of those 90 wrestlers going forward. I met Stone Cold. Couldn't have been nicer to me. The 30 seconds I was in front of him, went out of his way to sign a baseball for me at a Met game. So I can't nothing nice to say, anyone nice things to say, but
listen, there were people that thought that Chris Benoit was a nice guy too, you know.
Oh, I got you. But I'll remind you on Tuesday nights. But I'm telling you, there's I think it's Warrior, Macho Man, Stone Cold. It's 8 total wrestlers. Most of them are kind of 80s and forward, and no Hulk Hogan. No, so it's an 8-part series. You got to keep up with it so we can talk about it on the show, and we'll see how it goes with that. But I think it's time to end the show, Jeff. It's 9:35. Unless you got some stuff you want to bring up.
Yeah, I got a couple. Now you got me thinking wrestling, man. There's a couple questions I got for you. What 80s, late 80s, early 90s wrestler, when we were really watching it, ended up as you look back on it, disappointed you the most?
Ooh, wow, that's a great question. Wow.
Whether it was because their character sucked, or they just sucked as a wrestler, or you just realized how stupid their character was. Which one? Like
Warrior.
Is there any? I have to say yes.
The Warrior was the most overrated character in WWF to me.
Yeah, he just came out. He got everybody. You know what it was? He charged everything up.
Yes.
And he came out. He kicked ass and he left.
Yes.
You know, he made no sense, no rhyme or reason.
Yeah.
Either he was bad and the people he wrestled were worse,
mm-hmm.
or the people he wrestled were bad and he was worse. But
yeah,
you know, there was no in between with this motherfucker.
Yeah, he was a terrible wrestler. I can think of some guys. Honky Tonk Man would be close second. There's a few guys, but Honky Tonk Man was just a good wrestler.
Honky Tonk Man, I met in person.
Yes, I
told you that.
Yes, yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty funny too.
Yeah, again, I think it's the Warrior. I think that's easy for me. He came out, he couldn't wrestle. You know, the best he could do was pose and slam people. It was kind of boring. His promos weren't terrible, but wasn't great.
No, it was terrible. His promos, that's what made them great. They were terrible.
Yeah.
He was evidently fucking doing fucking heavers like you wouldn't believe before he came out and did these fucking promos. And then his jaw started going, to talk, you know. But you were going to ask a question a couple weeks ago, and we never got to it. And what was it? The best and worst finishing moves?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did that one.
I don't think we did I think we were supposed to do the worst finishing moves.
Okay, so we can do that right now. Sure, go ahead.
In my estimation, some of the worst finishing moves are definitely the rock bottom from The Rock.
Okay,
because he just, like, how are we supposed to believe that you kick the shit out of somebody and grab them and then just, you know, kind of slam them down after you beat the fuck out of them, and that's what did it, and then you drop an elbow on them.
I agree.
That's one thing. And the other one that I think had to be one of the worst was the Garvin Stomp.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Those were pretty lame.
I'll tell you why the worst one of all time is because it's for the biggest wrestler of all time, Hulk Hogan's leg drop. How is the Hulk Hogan leg drop the finishing move? The guy took out the Giant, took out everybody with the same move. He beat the crap out of them. They got up, they beat the crap out of him, but yet he dropped the leg on him and the game's over.
I guess you got to think of the weight of the leg and where he was dropping it, across the chest, the neck, whatever.
Terrible. Second best, worst move after that, the Ultimate Warrior, the big splash. The big splash. That's, to me, is two of the worst. The two best. I'll always love Snooker because he did it first, coming off the top rope. That's yeah. And the camel clutch. Camel clutch. Because my boy did it. He's still the funniest man alive.
Oh my God, man.
Well, give me your two best finishing moves. You gave me your worst. Give me the best ones.
Well, I kind of have to say, you know, like the Snooker one is good. I think that one is good. The pedigree looks like the Triple H.
Oh, okay.
Pedigree, where he would bend you over and put like your arms in a chicken wing and then jump up and land on your head. And drive your face down. Like, getting the pedigree from Triple H had to have sucked if not done the right way.
Yes,
it had to hurt. It had to hurt.
Yeah, if you missed that a little bit, you were going home with a severe headache.
Yeah, it's like a broken face.
I want to throw the heart punch from Stan Stasiak into the mix if possible. That anytime you get the heart punch specialist up there,
I think the choke slam done usually by the bigger of the wrestlers, the Undertaker, Kane,
yes,
the giants of the wrestling world, looked like it was, when done right and done with authority, it looked like it probably didn't hurt at all. And it doesn't look like it hurts. It's just a cool looking move.
Yes.
Because you're picking some guy up and then like just slamming him fuck down, you know. And I've seen the Undertaker do some good ones. The same with Kane and the Giants. And then I've seen him do some bad ones where you're like, oh man, that was rough. That was a bad one. You know, that sucked, that one. But when they do them good, they look really cool. When they don't do them so good, not so cool.
I always like the move that looked like that it really would work. Like, to me, the figure 4 leg lock or the camel clutch look like legitimate finishing moves. You know, most of the other ones, like Tito Santana had the shoulder, the shoulder, the flying shoulder. You know, like there were some that were just terrible moves when it came to finishing moves. But there was some. I think the best move I've ever seen. It wasn't a finishing move. Was Dynamite Kid snap suplex is to me the greatest move of all time.
He showed a lot of athletic ability with that, without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Some of the moves that these guys did were unbelievable because of the athleticism that was involved in that.
Yeah.
You know, and the Dynamite Kid. Listen, I remember watching the British Bulldog and the Dynamite Kid on every Saturday morning. They would come on, and they had the belts for the longest time, and I was never bored watching them.
Nope.
Never bored watching them, man.
Two of the best, to me, my favorite wrestlers and my favorite, obviously my favorite tag team, but because they were exciting, their moves were great. They wrestled, and it was a lot of fun watching those guys go. So whenever I get the chance, I throw them up on YouTube and try to catch some of the old matches, even the singles matches. If you ever get a chance, Dynamite and Bret Hart had a great match, and then right after was the Bulldog and Jim the Anvil. Two great matches, guys who could move. Big guys who can fly around the ring a little bit. An individual, it was really cool. So
I remember the British Bulldog being. I remember, unfortunately, when the British Bulldog died. But I remember watching him when I was a younger guy watching the WWF, and then when I started watching it again in the late '90s, early 2000s, I remember watching him again until he ended up. They found him dead someplace, and you know, I don't remember what he died from, probably an overdose or a heart attack. I
think it was a heart attack, but I mean, the guy was 38 years old or 30-something years old in phenomenal shape. And obviously it was drugs and alcohol related and all that stuff. So it's a shame. And Dynamite actually lasted till his 50s or 60s, but he was a mess.
Yeah, he's dead too, right?
He just died recently. Yeah, he was a mess. I mean, he was in a wheelchair. You saw the pictures of him. I read his book. It was sad but funny. You know, it was one of those books where you just.
What did he die from too?
I want to say he died from either dementia or Parkinson's or some sort of ailment that way. I'd have to look it back up, but the guy basically had everything wrong with him when he died. So it's a
shame. You know, these guys. When we were watching them, you don't realize the injuries and the risks that they take.
Yeah.
You know, and like all of a sudden you'd be like, well, I haven't seen so-and-so in a couple months. And then you realize, well, you know, he was getting his shoulder operated on, or, you know, we landed the wrong way on a fucking chair or the cement and knocked himself the fuck out and got up and continued to wrestle because that's what he had to do. And there was one match, I can't remember which one it was. I think it was Kurt Angle got knocked out. Or whatever, but Triple H, I think it was Kurt Angle and Triple H had to talk him through the whole entire match.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and like deep into the match. He got knocked the fuck out, had no idea where he even was.
Wow.
And he was telling him, okay, do this. And Triple H orchestrated the whole match and gave him the win, because that's the way it was supposed to be.
Right.
And when he won, he just ended up taking the shit and running for the back so he could get medical attention, because that's how bad he was. But
wow, I'm sure that happened a lot. I know Dynamite Kid ruined his career in the middle of a match. They had a trap door in the ring. It was covered, but they had a trap door there, and either stepped in it or slammed on it. and it screwed his back up. I mean, that was basically the end of his career. He hung on there for a while, but he lost. He was on all sorts of meds, and he lost weight, and that was kind of the beginning and the end for the Dynamite Kid. But listen, they all took a beating. If you see them now, I watched last night a couple. Don Morocco popped up on my YouTube for some reason, and I couldn't even recognize his voice was the same. But I'm looking at this guy, going, that don't even look like Don Morocco. Like that looks like a guy who used to play Don Morocco on TV who got old. I was like, no recognition that was ever Don Morocco. But there was another guy who's kind of never quite took it to the big level.
No, he was always an intercontinental man.
Yeah, he was
intercontinental championship. He was always part of.
Yeah,
but I remember there was one match, man. He was getting the shit kicked out of him. I think he was fighting Pedro Morales, and he was throwing him all over the ring. It was great. It was great, and he ends up winning anyway in the end of the match. That's
how it usually went. Listen, I can talk wrestling all night. Hard Rockin' Sports, Jeff and Tom. We're winding it down here. Looking forward to being back here next Thursday night. It's all football. You can call up with anything you want, but we'll be doing the NFL draft. We'll be talking and hanging for 3 hours and change. We'll do as much as we can in the first round until we get tired and want to call it a night. So I hope you guys will come back with us. We might have some guests. We might have some people popping in. So we hope you'll join us as well and hang with us while we watch the NFL draft next Thursday night right here on the Hard Rockin' Sports Show.
Now, I know you wanted to cut it off because we both got to get up early, but one last question, not wrestling. What is going to be the big surprise next week in the draft?
Oh, that's a great question.
Is it going to be a pick? Is it going to be an out of the blue trade?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I'm going to go trade. I don't think there's going to be an out of the blue pick. I don't think you're going to see somebody get picked that wasn't expected. I don't. I think it's going to be a trade. I think somebody's going to try to move way up to grab a quarterback.
Yeah, you think that's what it's going to be?
Redskins, Patriots. Somebody of that ilk is going to try to get up into the first round. They're going to overpay to get one of these guys. That's that. Yeah, I just don't see. I don't think there's a player out there that I would say, you want to. I mean, could it be a Mahomes type guy where the Broncos or where the Chiefs moved all the way up to grab him? It could happen, but I think it's going to be the trade.
Who's picking fifth?
Fifth is Cincinnati. The 5 spot.
Cincinnati. All right, so maybe Cincinnati is not going to go, but and pick. But if fourth, who was fourth? That was the Atlanta. Yep. If Atlanta takes anybody, and then there was no quarterback drafted in the 5th spot, I think you're going to see a lot of something happen for 6th.
If the Dolphins spot, I don't think the Dolphins will trade out of it. I think it gets interesting when you get to like Carolina and the Broncos, the Giants, the Cowboys. I think that's where he goes. Or the Detroit. Detroit could trade out of there too at 7.
It's possible, but the reason I bring up those picks is that to me they're the most logical because they're going to be, it's going to be wide open. You don't know which way anybody's going to go at that point in time. Sure. But if one of those teams does not want a quarterback and they don't mind dropping down, I think the bevy of picks that they're going to get, is going to be so much more worth more than what they would have gotten with that pick.
I agree.
Do the Giants trade down?
I saw Gettleman interviewed, and he basically said, I won't give away the pick, but I'm not. Do I think they will? No. I think if you're going to get somebody to trade back, it'll probably be the Broncos. I think the Broncos are the team I think to trade back. I also could see, excuse me, I think Cincinnati could trade back a little bit because I think they're going to go receiver. They can help themselves so many ways. I think the most interesting pick of the night is going to be number 3. Third round, the 3rd pick of the draft is going to set this draft up a lot of ways because I think if it's not Mac Jones, I think there's going to be a few teams that are going to want to jump up to get him because after Frisco, I don't see another team taking a quarterback until you get to probably the Broncos. That would be the next spot, and after that, it drops away. So to me, that's the interesting. But if Mac Jones goes at number 3, I'm not sure anybody's trading up to get one.
I don't know, dude. I still think Trey Lance is. I think there's going to be a rush on him. I think they're pushing him. I'm a lot about him, and I just think that there's a lot of people that are going to somebody's going to look to get him before it's too late. I think that they're trying to sell his position in the draft, so to speak.
Yeah,
I just get that feeling, man.
No, I think you're right. I do. I believe that you're right. I think he's the hype guy. I think people are selling him higher than he should be. And I think I think my only thought would be, is there a team dumb enough named the Washington football team that I think would be the squad? I think that's the team that you talk about, the woke football now. They're a woke football team, obviously. And I think that might be a team that tries to trade up for a guy like that. Or if he falls that far, which I don't see. But do I think all 5 quarterbacks are off the board by 15 or 20? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. I think Trey Lance could fall very far in this draft.
I don't see it, but we'll know by next week at this time. We'll have a very good idea of what's happening.
Nope. Bring your popcorn and get ready. We'll be doing the NFL Draft Show right here next Thursday night, 7 o'clock through, I don't know, at least 9:30. Well, maybe we'll stay till 10. We'll see where we're at with the picks. We're certainly going to be on the edge through the Giants. I don't know if we'll go much past the Giants. We'll see where we're at. Do you think, let me answer your question, Jeff, real fast. Do you think that it goes faster this year, especially the first maybe 5 or 6 picks? I don't think there's much.
No.
You think each team's going to take? I mean, at this point, does the show open with Trevor Lawrence already on already being picked? I think
the first sighting of Trevor Lawrence at the draft, he's already got Jaguars gear. I bet you he shows up in Jaguars.
Oh, he's not. Actually, he's not going. He says he's going to stay at Clemson and watch it. I know that Zach Wilson's going to show up, but Trevor Lawrence has said he's not going to the draft.
He's going to have some Jaguars gear.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm convinced of that.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Like if I think they get 10 or 15 minutes between picks. I wonder.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. I wonder if they're going to use 9 minutes or they're going to get it like within 1 minute.
I find it insulting too.
Why is that?
Because they've known who they're going to take for quite some time now. They don't need the 10 minutes. If any team is sitting there right now and they're like, all right, who's got a quarter? All right, you ready? 2 out of 3 on this one. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're doing that now at this point in time, then that's pretty sad. So to take the full 10 minutes, I mean, unless they're in a conversation about a trade.
That's it. Yes, that's the one thing I would say. I think that's one thing that you could see is that they could be in the middle of a trade and they need to make a deal. That's the one thing.
Yeah, and you know what? If you want to add 2 minutes on to the clock to make the trade, that's fine. But these guys probably know about these trades anyway. They're probably calling one another during the week, like, listen, I'll call you up last minute, and let it leak out the day before or whatever.
Sure. Yeah,
it has to be.
I would tell you that if you're a team. More, anybody wants to move up. Obviously, he's letting people know. But I also think that if you're a team that you want to move back, or you're letting people know you're the pick is in play.
It has to be.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. We'll be around there for it. I think it's going to be a dull first 3 or 4 picks. I think after it'll get a little interesting. After 3, I think it gets a very interesting. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But tune in. Put your TV on if you want. Turn on the volume on your computer and watch Jeff and I as we break down the NFL draft while you watch it. So
while we anxiously await the savior. Exactly.
Yes. Will you be in your Jet gear? Will you be in Jet paraphernalia for the draft? No. I'll be wearing my Tom Brady jersey next week for sure. I'll be wearing.
Okay. It is too hot in the year to be sporting any kind of football gear right now.
Okay.
And no, I will not be wearing football paraphernalia.
All right. Well, we'll be here rooting for our teams and breaking down the draft following week. Okay.
I may have a special guest on my end.
You may have a special guest in-house?
I may have a special in-house guest next week.
Okay.
Going to see somebody who's not been on the show in several weeks, several months at this point in time.
Would this be a small fellow?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I that's on you.
No, I will not be calling in the special fellow for the draft.
No. That's actually not a fellow at all.
Okay. All right. We'll see who. Okay.
So we'll see if I could get them to come on for a few minutes.
We'll see. Listen, we're always willing to have somebody from the Tolwinski home join us, but guys, we're gonna break it down this week. We're wishing you guys a weekend should be a little warmer, so a little better than today. I froze my ass off, but
oh my god, it was like a winter fucking day out.
yeah. So guys, I think tomorrow will be a little warm. It starts a little cold, but then it gets warm, and the weekend's gonna be nice. So enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. If you want to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. If you don't, even better. But we do yourselves a favor. Stay safe. Jeff and I will be playing a little cards. I'll be a lot richer next week after I fleece him and the rest of the clowns for their cash this weekend. But we'll be watching some Spinal Tap. I'll be having a couple of cocktails and of course playing a little cards. So that'll be our Saturday night. But you guys have a great weekend. Have a great week. Make sure you get ready for the NFL draft and make sure you tune into the Hard Rock and Sports Show next Thursday night for our coverage. Hefe, got anything you want to add?
On a good night? No, not really.
Dude, enjoy. I'll see you Saturday. But listen, on the air, I'll tell you, enjoy the show on Sunday. I hope it's a success. I hope you guys raise a lot of money. And I know you and Raul and the guys will be great. You always are. So
thank you. I appreciate that, man. I'm just looking forward to getting out of the house for a little bit. I got a couple people that I know that are coming. Unfortunately, it was a limited attendance due to the pandemic and the virus. But a lot of people come out there trying to help this woman whose house burned down, and she barely got her pets out, from what I understand. But I just want to get the opportunity to get out there and play, and I don't know how much longer with the pandemic I'm going to want to sit and wait around to do this.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
So it's important that if I get the chance to play, I want to play and go out and have a good time, and this is going to be a good show. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, wish everybody well over there and give them my best. I know Jimmy will be out there playing as well, so give him my best and everybody else. And I'll see you Saturday night. Looking forward to it. And
you got it, man.
Everybody enjoy it. Have a great week and a great weekend, and stay safe. And come on back to Hard Rock and Sports next Thursday night. Jeff, talk to you later, brother.
Later, man.
Later.
Bye.
Let's do end broadcast.